Mission fucking accomplished. Goon Swarm is not a threat.
Good luck with your all's dumb nullsec war. Snuffed out number 1. Anunnaki Keepstar is next, and then come on.
There, and then you were just going to fucking magically jump into EVE Online in a system, and it was just going to load, and nobody was going to call you fucking stupid later?
There's an Eagle fleet that has dive-bombed a Megathron fleet. This is the bravest shit I have ever seen in my life.
The best possible shot to do something to the Imperium, and you fucked it up.
I talked a lot of shit over the last couple months. It's time to fucking eat some. And I showed up here to eat shit. Like,
the reason that this keeps started and get contested, and I cannot make this up, is because of tie-dye.
Guess where goons are gonna live after this war is over?
Current plan is 319, I believe, right?
Delph.
Hi, sick.
I can
People
tell you very
overreacted.
clearly, our Diplos didn't even fucking care. So, like,
White daddy.
Welcome, everybody. I'm sure that 100% of the people tuning into this have been eagerly watching everything. Every single hour. It was about 16 hours or so of FanFest coverage. So many hours. And, you know, we all, and especially if you were in a time zone where it happened in the very early hours of the morning, you all got up, you all alarm clocked for this. We were all there for every single one. We all urinated in bottles from our couches. It was great. We have a number of people who urinated into bottles over the weekend with us today, including CSM member Young Puke, part of the team that has helped CCP to make a lot of this happen. Puke, how are you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Thank you for being here. Your first time here as well. We also have with us Villy, well known by almost everybody. How you doing, Villy?
good. Glad to be back on the show and distributing the facts.
The facts, not one piece of conjecture, nothing subjective from Villy at any stage ever. It's going to be cold.
Oh, those will be
hard
coming
facts.
too. Don't worry.
Rain Row, a serial video maker and elite small ganger, with us here to tell us exactly how everything that has been announced is going to completely save Small Gang in EVE forever.
Hi, honey.
Redline, you already know Redline. You can see him there. We don't need to bother introducing him. We've all seen him before. But we do also have
Chopped
Nada Red
liver
with
here
us
these
today.
days. Oh, sure.
Nada Red
Introduce
somehow,
the snuffed out guy.
playing the game for only half as long as me, and with somehow massively more snuff experience than me. How are you doing, Nada?
Hello, I'm good.
Okay, just good. And we got the Basilisk, another elite small ganger, but
Wouldn't go that
perhaps,
far.
most importantly, making sure that all of us morons watching tournaments are able to understand what's happening with the ships.
I'm just here to counterbalance Young Puke's optimism for these changes that he has wrought upon us.
Well, it wouldn't
Bring
be
a nice
EVE Online
hefty
if
dose
we
of-
didn't if we didn't open with and maintain a sense of pessimism. So
Oh my
Baz-
god. Everyone just
Baz-
needs Prozac, dude. Just all this negativity.
What are you talking about, dude?
Baz, why? What's wrong? What's wrong with it? What's wrong with what they announced? What's your problem?
I mean, okay, look, there's some good stuff in there. Thank you for yielding the floor straight away, so I can get right into the brass tacks of it. All right, there's some good stuff in there. I'm not gonna argue that. But I mean, on the keynote, like the main slide, right, that showed all the shit they're doing. Okay, look, surgical strike revert. It's good, but it could just be a patch. Like you could do this in 20 minutes. Like this is a League of Legends 2-weekly patch type deal. Okay. Freelancing. Maybe I'm out of touch, and maybe chat will tell me I'm out of touch. But I genuinely like this was the central feature of like their big slide of all the contents of the patch. This was the big thing. I don't see the point in it. I don't see who it benefits. I don't see who is realistically going to use it. That's not a case of getting new bros to jump into Amazon to deliver 3,000 Veldspar. Like I don't see the value in this in basically any way. Angel Dread, yeah, it's cool, I guess, but like 20 people are going to have it. Lashak Marauder, sure, yeah, it's a new ship. I won't argue against that one. And everything else, to me, is kind of just like odds and ends. I'm not sure about the Equinox revert as well, the power change. They had like, they're removing power from sov hubs or something. I might have got that wrong, but that again just seems like a walk back of something they introduced like less than a year ago. So yeah, I'm not overly enthused. Like there's good stuff in there, but on the whole, I'm not. Wow, this is the best thing ever.
I mean, you know, I'm sure everybody is about to chime in on this. You touched on a huge number of topics there. If I sort of uncharacteristically focus for me first on your feelings about freelancing, I think that the biggest deal with freelancing is not necessarily just the feature itself, but the fact that the feature is ESI writable, so that there can be massed automation of setting these goals and rewards.
Yeah.
And
what do you think is the actual usage case for these, though?
Well, they showed some of the UI of it where the tasks that were on display that you could set looked very basic, and I think that it's the basicness of the tasks that they displayed that could, you know, be what really holds it back. But essentially, setting these what are seem like a hybrid between a contract and a mission, if you will, in a way, for people in an automated manner means that especially large groups can start to automate a lot of their a level of their industry and requirements to get things and gather things.
But the problem is that those opportunities or those jobs are not things large groups want to outsource anyways. The real I think hope or thought process at the start of freelance kind of origin, I think, was trying to create something similar to kind of like the Foreign Legion for many of these larger groups, where they could, you know, give players who are not necessarily connected with their organization the opportunity to join their fleets, or at least join a group of other new players who would, in theory, at least be somewhat part of these larger battles, to give them the opportunity to be involved and to get into some of the more exciting parts of EVE Online's larger PvP content. I just don't see any real advantage to large groups being like, we want you to go haul ore in the back end of our constellation. Nobody's going to be interested in that. And that system will be absolutely abused the second it's, you know, put out there for people, I would think.
I definitely feel that one way that it's going to be abused is the same way that we see corp recruitment adverts being abused. I mean, the corp advert system is basically unusable, and it is largely used by incredibly naive, and that really means very young players who don't understand that it is just awash with people ticking every box, saying that they offer everything, that are either largely dead corporations or noob farms for tax just rinsing tax off of people or using them as slaves. It's a massive problem, and they've done nothing to address that. And they've added more. Essentially, with this, you could say they've added more features to that noob scamming system.
Yeah, I feel like this is a consistent theme as well. I feel like CCP is trying to sort of, I don't know, like take the rough edges out of player interaction for new players to the game. And there's another feature in the update that I just remembered as well that's the same thing, and it's the, customization of corp mails or corp invites or something. If you wanted to send a custom message to someone in game, there was already a tool for that. It's called Evemail. You can talk to people and you can write whatever you want. So I don't see why you need custom corp invites. What is the point? What is the benefit here?
It's like building a user interface and willfully ignoring human behavior. I mean, I personally feel
that's EVE Online at its core, isn't it?
But I feel like CCP trying to circumvent it is just
grease
pointless.
the path to scamming new players. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of touch, but I just don't see the use case for it. I don't see how it's beneficial.
Well, that's what people said about corp projects. They said no one would ever use them, but people use them. A ton of them.
Yeah.
They showed all the statistics. There's a 60% adoption rate in big groups on the corp projects. I'm pretty sure freelance jobs will have a similar use.
Opening it outside of corporations.
Well, I mean, they're going to open it up outside of corporations. And hold on, wait, you guys are talking about like there being scam projects and stuff, and yeah, there's probably going to be, but I also think that at a certain point, people are going to realize what is and isn't a scam, and maybe it's going to be scammy for like a few weeks at best, and then people are going to figure it out. They're going to like, oh yeah, no, I'm definitely not going to take titanium to Amazon. Like all that shit's going to be fine. And then it's just going to be a fun little system like Eve Pandora or whatever it's called. The website.
But if you don't have that
in-game.
context, you don't know that that's not the normal Eve, and then you just quit half the time. Is what happens a lot of time.
Not necessarily. So like there's a lot of interfaces within freelance projects, even like on like a faction warfare like low sec level, that like if I want people to like push for things, or Eve Pandora does a very excellent job, is that it helps you coordinate. Like the way the conceptual framework that I think it's coming from is like a guild board. It's a job board of basic jobs that someone can go in that, maybe don't know what they want to do. Maybe they're a new player and they don't have a sense of direction or sense of purpose. And they want to figure out like, what do I want to do today? Well, they can look at all these jobs on a guild board and they can pick and choose what type of jobs they want, whether it's hauling something, whether it's plexing in a certain system, whether it's increasing advantage, whether it's doing all these other tasks. I know we're thinking heavily on the new bro focus, but like there's so many different job duties that alliance managers, middlemen, or people have to do that just kill time. And if you can pay somebody or outsource it to do it, whether it's dropping fuel in metanoxes, whether it's fueling or it's another easy one, like getting certain industry items or whatever, or POCOs, or like getting resources from POCOs and dropping it somewhere, or whatever you want to organize that you want, figure it out. I think there's a lot of utility. Are there scams? Yes. Is it people maybe get abused? Maybe. But I think corp projects was that first step, and there's a lot of groups like Brave. I mean, Brave just used it so much as a perfect example that they use it very effectively to manage and limit responsibility or work that the middle managers have to do. I don't know. I don't see it. Sorry, Baza. I don't see it completely as doom and gloom. I see there's a lot of utility as well.
I think this is a thing a lot of people, pretty much people in this channel won't give a shit about. For a lot of people, they will care about it. I'm eagerly waiting for some group putting bounties out and snuff, and then I just use my alt to farm ISK. But who knows?
Like don't get me wrong. I'm very curious. Like I am super. I really hope it succeeds. I have yet to see the core purpose that's really going to sell it as a feature. And
I just think
without that, I'm definitely worried about its success.
I guess what does success for this means to you, right? Like how do you measure
adoption?
The success?
It means increased retention of new players because of the jobs and opportunities that this grants them. To me, that's success.
And I think that's how we measure it, right? Like then if it's not successful based on that lens, we have to iterate on it and improve on it, right? Like I don't think this is something that CCP can slap away and is like, we implemented it, we're done, next move to the next thing. But there's something that needs to be watched, and whether it's on MER data that we can see with corp projects, that's something that'd be really cool, or alliance projects, but there's something that has to be actively monitored and watched. Because I don't think
that's something CCP is really well known for doing, though, right? Active monitoring and watching.
I mean, I would say,
yeah.
I mean, Okami though, since March 12th, I would argue has been pretty vocal and open about the iteration. I mean, yes, it's one individual, but I would say that I feel confident that if he were to come out and say, this is a new system and we should actively monitor and see how we should do. I would trust them. There's backing on it now. Like
trust me, I have no problem with like one individual doing things and like monitoring it. The problem is that one individual inevitably gets pulled to another project, and then 4 or 5 months from now, there's nobody paying attention. And
I mean, hasn't this system been constantly getting iterated on the last few expansions? Like, there's something new for this project shed every expansion. Like, it is getting iterations.
That's a good point. Yeah, they just because this is essentially just a gigantic extension of projects, rather than
not really
here's a
that
brand new
gigantic.
feature. We promise.
It's
we
just a
pinky
flip and a
promise
switch.
that we're going to keep on working on it, because this is just more work on an existing.
Like, there is going to be people fucking yapping on Reddit that X group have put bounties on Y group and stuff like that. Like, people are going to use this for some stuff. It's just, is it going to play out well? We have to see.
Exactly.
Has anyone actually used the corp bounty system to like any meaningful effect at this point?
So which system?
The corp project's current.
The corp projects. Have any of you actually like used it and used it well? Has it ever actually been prosperous for you guys?
I've tried it within my corp. It seemed fine, but the problem was it just didn't incentivize behavior at all. And then, on multiple spy characters, I guess I would call them, I've been in corps where they've used them, and they're pretty much the same, where they do things, but I don't feel like they particularly incentivize any actual behavior or playtime.
Yeah, I've had the same stuff going on. Yeah.
So killing people in certain. Sorry, go ahead, Phantom.
No, you go on.
Oh, I mean, for us, it's like killing people in certain systems. So you have like bounties on certain groups, and then that incentivizes people to undock a little bit more, go into plexes, and start killing people while you're fighting those systems. So like right now, there's a big conflict that's happening in the system of Vard. Mimitar Fleet Alliance has moved in there. Amar is moving in there as well. And they're fighting each other, and both organizations have corp projects and bounties to raise advantage or to plex this system, kill 100 of these pilots, and they get extra hits. And so both groups have newer players in them, and so it sort of helps them a little bit promote PvP. But like it's very, very limited. That's what we are mostly focused on.
I mean, one thing that
most of the ones on my corp are just track stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to point out that corp projects, and by extension, eventually alliance projects and freelancing, absolutely does not appeal to me in any way whatsoever. But I can see how it would appeal to, especially people who are trying to taste different ways to play the game and make money. But I do feel a little concerned that it is starting. It is just moving further down the line of setting out an on-rails experience for EVE Online, because basically everybody in this channel, we got into EVE Online because of exclusively the unpredictable player interactions in this game and our own wider goals, rather than I'm going to pick up a contract to get some Veldspar tomorrow. It's going to be great.
I think you are wrong.
Do you feel like it's? Do you feel, Phantomite, that it makes it like non-spontaneous?
What I feel is that it implies to the young player that this is what you do to play the game.
To the young player, it would appear as though you pick up a contract and go mine Veldspar for your alliance. To the newer skilled player, he sees this new player as prey. Yeah, no, that's not how this is, man. Look, they've got a lot of the stuff that's, like a lot of the concerns with this system. Claymore Dog in the chat, shut up. I contributed plenty. That was funny. Not my fault you didn't laugh. But I think that with this system, I don't know how good of a corporation recruitment tool it's going to be, but like if I can just go do random stuff and actually make money from it, then that's not bad. If I can do it without having to join anybody else, that's not bad.
We have just been joined by Dr. Spodumane as well, who has a different angle on freelancing. How you doing, Spod?
Hello, darling.
Hi. Go
so I was
ahead.
just
Go
gonna
ahead.
point-
Yeah.
I was trying to point out how it's weird that no one's noticed that this is a major shift from CCP, and
Go on.
this is something they've never done before, and they've always rallied against, and that is enabling you to exchange value in the game without being in the game. Because
This is
now I
kind of
can
an
create,
ESI ability, right?
now I can
Not
create a
yet.
cult project that
No, you
gives you money.
can't. No, you
Is that not
cannot.
the intent?
That's not what you can do or what you will be able
I
to
don't
do
know.
on
I've
the
not actually done
27th of May.
any of it.
That was
I mean,
something that they are considering down the
I'm
road.
not sure. Well, but they boasted it as part of their
Fantastic.
opening ceremony.
Can someone
Does
explain
anyone
to me
actually
what you
care
guys
about
mean?
this, or can we talk about the real stuff?
No,
in the
no one
patch?
cares
As
about
any
this.
people who are actually
It's
interested?
fine. No one cares
Alright.
about this. Let's talk about the new spaceships.
Like,
Let's do it.
does anyone actually care about them? Because they're kind of pointless.
What? You think the
They're
new
kind of
spaceships are pointless?
Angel Dread isn't going to be used because it's Pirate Dread's going to cost about 20 bill that you have to see to get any use out of.
No.
The MJD thing's not useless. Now it's moving, so it's just going to die.
Okay,
Dreadbolt's
not a red.
primary.
Shut the
No,
fuck up
I
for a
was-
second. Be quiet for a second, because if you're about to blow your load and ruin my fucking show, I'm gonna kick your ass. So don't.
Okay, let me say it then, Redline. The Angel Dread is useless. Nobody's gonna fucking fly it. Faction
Wait,
Dreads are
no,
fucking
you don't
pointless.
do it either. God damn it.
Like the most interesting Pirate Dread news is not this; it's the other ones.
I
It's like
understand.
the other two.
Yeah, some of the
meaning
other
fucking
buffs were a
Vehement
little more
and-
interesting.
Yeah, the Vehement one, interesting. What's that other shitty one called? The fucking
Cayman.
Oh, the
The Cayman
Cayman
one's
one's
not
not
bad.
interesting. The Cayman one's not bad, but who fucking cares? It's a Cayman. It's so garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they buffed all of those ones, but you know, I will say about the Angel Dread that I am all for CCP building, you know, items that consume a bunch of LP that are just going to be hanger queens for rich people. I mean, like, yeah, knock yourselves out, go ahead. Like, because
It isn't just hanger queens though.
Those
It's
ships
definitely
don't
not like
affect
Vehemence
the
and
meta.
Chimoshes get used a lot in C6 brawling when it comes to it.
So what? So play fighting?
Wow.
I mean,
We use
Oh,
Vehement and
okay.
Shamash as well and stuff on
Play
proper
fighting
fights.
is at least people undocking and shooting their fucking ships, Redline.
Right, I understand, and I have nothing against play fighting, but like saying that it's being used and then bringing up play fighting as its use case
Redline,
is
I'm
kind of
pretty sure there's
disingenuous.
probably
Play
wormhole
fighting.
What?
There's definitely wormhole pirate dreads that have more fucking kills this year than fucking Redline does.
I mean, that might be true, but they're doing it in play fights. So, like, that's fine.
So what is a real fight for you? A null war? Is that the only fucking PvP
No,
need
no,
for
no,
you?
no, no, no. I'm just saying, a play fight to me would be a fight that someone organizes, and that's what happens in wormholes.
Do you think
is they
wormholers
say,
organize their fucking fights?
yeah, of course, it's all fake. What? It's like wrestling, dude. What do you
How
mean?
many kills do you have in a wormhole?
Jesus
Wormholers
Christ, I
aren't
thought I
even.
gave retarded takes.
Hello? What are you talking about? Do you not know this about wormholes? Okay, you know, it's fine.
Redline, I think the meta show was last night. If you want to go talk with people that are more on your wavelength.
I don't understand what you're trying to say, but I don't appreciate the
I'm saying you're as
implication.
dumb as Dave Archer.
That's not even fair to say at all.
All right, so with the negative comments aside, let's if we can let's actually be productive, which is I think they're making changes to these faction dreads and they're trying to make increase its use case. Are there? I know Nada and I don't know if Basil left or not, but you guys definitely use faction dread, the Venient, I think. I mean,
We use a
I would
Vehement and we use a Shamash as part of a carrier comp, but yeah.
Yeah, and so I definitely think like with these changes, you may see them more often in low stack when you feel confident or whatever. But like, are we going to be seeing dread bombs with faction titans in them? Probably not. I think, but we'll see though those niche cases where it'd be really cool. I forgot which one it is. The Galente one. I always forget the fuck its name. Wait, maybe it could have gotten a web bonus,
Damn it.
range bonus too. Yeah, it would be super
No,
cool.
that would have
because,
been
like,
fucking busted.
yeah, I mean, it would be a little bit busted, but like make it interesting at least, right? A little bit more. But I just think like if they're gonna be, they also said they're cheapening the costs, right, of the Cayman and what was the other one?
The
that they're
Cayman and
cheapening?
Vehement.
Vehement.
And
Yeah.
I presume the new ancient one will be cheap as well because that was the big issue with them.
And if they make it more feasible, then maybe more people will use them. Like, I don't think I disagree with you. I was want to call you headliner. Oh my god, redline. That
These fists
that
of fury, my man.
that I don't think it's play-finding wormholes because like you have to commit, right? You go into the hole, right? There's no way out, right? You have to
No.
the hole will collapse. And
No.
so, but like I think like they're using them. Fuck it, who cares? Like there's what was it? Cyrus and the Laserhawks guys, and there was a loggerhead fight. Like that wasn't play fighting. Like that was a fight of pride.
Okay.
Right?
So
Like that.
in fairness to wormholers, sorry, some of it is not play fighting. All right. Like the eviction stuff when they're kicking each other out of their homes, that's not play fighting. But like the regular stuff is, and that's where that's what I thought you meant the use case would be.
Like, yeah, real fights in EVE Online, or you take 50 Hurricane Fleet issues and fight 50 Ferox Navy issues, or sometimes you take
Claymores.
150 Ferox Navies and fight 150, 100 MN Cyclone Fleet issues. That's real PvP.
And I just think like I don't think we need to demonize people that are using their faction caps. I think we should applaud them. I mean, people that are using capitals in any place. Like, if I saw like this crazy stat, and I'm gonna double check with the newest data when it comes out. But like, out of the 10,000 dreads that have died in the whatever that time frame was, 60% of those dreads that died was in low sec, right? Like the smallest pace, where it's just absolutely insane. And so like, if people are being undocked, if they're actually PvPing, if they're actually risking assets and doing shit, I disagree with battlecruiser spam. I think it's utterly fucking boring, but that's great, and we should promote and see more of that. And if this gets more people to use faction caps, fantastic. May there be more faction kills, more Dagon kills, all that stuff. But I wouldn't demonize them for it.
Well,
We
no,
should
you're
applaud
talking
it.
something completely different. You're talking about the
something like
changes.
But I don't consider
The
if you're,
price-
I don't consider it play fighting. So I would say if you're risking 100 bill, officer fit capital, basically, it's not fucking around. They want to fucking win, right? Like that's the goal.
It depends.
And so like,
it depends.
I mean, sure.
If you have 100, if you only have like 150 bill, then sure, 100 bill is a lot. But if you're a trillionaire, then fuck it. It's
But like the average
perspective.
player has
Redline. What is this fucking dumb red herring argument? No one gives a shit about your opinion on fucking wormholes. We're talking about the fucking patch did.
You're
Like,
telling
these
me,
clothes are
dude.
good. They will
You're
get more
telling
free shit
me.
than Station H.
But otherwise,
you're yelling at me like I'm the one sitting here talking about it.
Let's be clear here. If
Yes.
me and Nada are agreeing that your shit is you're taking shit, you're taking shit. Like, there's
Like,
like
take your head out of
wormholes.
the fucking microwave, dude.
This is
Take
not
your
a
what?
good line.
Listen, there's going to be
There,
no
I'll
show.
be in darkness.
There's going to be no show at this stage with all this. This is crazy.
No, it's fine.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what the
it-
show is about. This is what the fucking people want, Phantomite. They want to
if I-
chat shit. They want to take it out of me. I tell you what,
Like,
if
see,
you're a wormholer,
see,
you're
the
trash.
changes
End of
here.
discussion.
The headline is
Now
yapping
listen,
about wormholers.
there is a very good spaceship, though. The Babaroga. That's a cool spaceship, right?
Yeah.
What's the point of
Maybe.
it though?
What do you mean?
It's
gonna be
for-
really good
I
at
mean,
crabbing.
It has
it's to allow Shadow Cartel to shoot Pocos uncontested.
It has,
hell yeah,
it has
very
been
quickly.
that specific ship has been something that people have asked for once a week for like 3 years at the 3 or more years at this stage. They're like, when are we getting the Trig Marauder? When are we getting the Trig Marauder? And I don't think that just wanting it is a good enough reason for CCP to make it. What is interesting about it, in fact, you've got it up here. I'm a little bit concerned that this ship has both a range and a tracking bonus.
Oh, the fucker's going to be
especially-
broken.
Well, I know, right? So what across basically the entire trig range, well, everything that fits disintegrator. But because of the way that critical hits work, because of the calculations behind that, and because it's a single turret, you guys have all experienced being hit by a crit from a spooled disintegrator, right? You know what I'm talking about?
I mean, it's going to be
0 to
expensive,
dead.
and it'll be shut down by a crucifier.
It might be shut down by a crucifier. The issue, of course, being that this ship has somehow perhaps even more utility than other Marauders, which are already quite utility heavy in their design.
I mean, no matter what, guys, it's gonna get nerfed in the future, right? Like,
but it's also going to be expensive to begin with.
that's also true. But like, depending how the cost lays out, like, it's gonna be so. I mean, other thing too, right? Can you just a crucifier now just completely eliminate this thing? You know what I mean? Or it gets jammed.
Yeah,
You know,
its damage is very slow to ramp up.
Yeah, so like, I think there's ways to counter
like the
it.
Icky, like the Ikatersa has slow ramp up.
Yeah, I don't know like what its base damage is gonna be.
But this is a Poco and Pos basher, right? Is that what we're saying?
Someone, I'm pretty sure someone did a graph of the damage.
Someone's graphed it, and it's not that good. It starts out slightly higher damage than the Leshak, but it spools much, much higher, but it takes a huge amount of time for it to get higher.
This is one of those ones where if you're being spilled on by 3 minutes, you're gonna for 3 minutes you're gonna have a bad time, and that's kind of your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't jam someone by that point,
when it comes to uncontested bashing.
I put the graph in the chat.
Nice.
I love that. I mean, there's so many ways to counter Marauders now.
Ships for like undefended Poco bashes. You can do a bash in any ship. You can do it in a T2 Purifier or a Kiki if you have enough time.
Yeah.
What's the reason that they chose to use Tetrion for this graph?
No idea. It's the highest damage, isn't it?
No, that would be Occult.
No.
Oh, or
T2.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder what point they're trying to make.
I don't know, dude. That fusion. But
well, they're not using heal on the Varger, so it's like they're not the best
sure.
action damage or whatever.
Sure. Fusion is still a closer range ammo, though.
But isn't Tetrion long range ammo?
I've got Python open.
Tetrion's the second one.
Still going to be
Tetrion's the second shortest.
A great crabbing ship and a wonderful kill mail.
Surely it's going to be a rubbish crabbing ship because you don't.
No, this will be amazing for drifters and wormholes.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's going to be very useful for bashing structures in wormholes as well.
Either way.
I mean,
do you want to bash a structure in a Marauder, really? Especially one that's 5 bill when you can just use a bunch of fucking polarized Taloses?
Fair point.
Yeah, but this is about what's the mass of 5 Taloses?
True.
And the number of accounts. Yeah, that's 5 accounts. This is 1 account. Yeah, it'll be worth it in some niche situations, and I actually feel that it's quite important that the Babaroga is relegated to being good only in niche situations over other ships, because otherwise, if it was any more broad in its application, this thing would be absolutely busted beyond belief.
I think it's fair that we talk of the Babaroga and just move right along.
Next?
Do we have the slot layout for the Babaroga or like any of the other info about it?
Yeah, we do have
it.
It
was on the first slide, wasn't it?
It's
it's like 4-4.
Oh, almost. It's off the side of the screen.
5-4-8.
5-4-8. 8 lows. Good grief.
It's the only Marauder with 8 low slots.
Wow.
That's gonna be a tanky boy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thankfully, not a vast damage boy.
It's not going to get the T2 resists though. So it's not going to be as tanky as you might think.
Is it not going to get the? I mean, Marauders don't have T2 resist. They have like T1 point something resists, right?
Yeah, but even then, like Trigg stuff.
Yeah,
Trigg stuff gets like T1.
Oh, Rocket in chat says that Marauders have a 1.25 resist. I mean, is this not going to? I didn't hear that this thing was going to have T1. I assume it would have T1.25 resists again.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's not like super high though.
I mean, it's got the armor repair amount bonus, so it's definitely going to be with an active tank quite tanky. You get those extra highs.
Yeah, it's also got a remote armor repair range thing as well. Obviously, this thing has to. No, could this turn into? No, you just use Nesta, wouldn't you? You'd just use a Nesta if you wanted a battleship Logi.
Honestly, I feel like it's just going to be. I feel like it's just going to be a better Chronos in a way, at short range.
That's a good point. why it's going to be better because it's going to have the range. It'll trade off the damage initially, but it's got far more flexible range.
True.
Well, the big thing is once you like grapple and scramble something, like it will die. Like you know, occult start pounding in, and like you might start a tiny bit lower than void, but like in about 60 seconds you'll be like ramping right through that, right?
Is it going to be worth like 3 times the price though? Like,
Well,
would you
the thing
rather
is,
3
like-
Cronoses or one of these?
Well, if you're one person, you know, and especially if you get your one person with a lot of money, which is a large chunk of Eve, you'll take the more expensive one. But it's also important to remember that everything that is cost gated eventually becomes not cost gated, right? Because we've seen in Eve very few things
Supply.
maintain their price
Yeah.
consistently over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And of course, you know, are we still sticking to the line of one crucifier shuts this thing down?
Absolutely
Yes.
not. Kill the
Well, I
crucifier.
mean, to a degree, it's true, but the problem is then somebody has to be flying a fucking crucifier, which is
right.
never particularly fun.
Which particularly harms
I don't know.
people who
Flying a
are.
crucifier carrier is a lot of fun.
Well, you
But
know
then
what?
fly
I mean,
curse instead.
I'll tell you what. Let me tell you
realistically,
something.
if you're going to fly a crucifier, you'd fly a sentinel instead.
Let me
Yeah,
tell
I mean,
you something.
Crucifier, Sentinel, Curse, right?
Speaking of
Of
ships,
course, yeah.
speaking of ships getting more fun to fly, there are some ships that are going to get more fun to fly. You know, on May 27th when Legion comes out, some cruisers are getting rebalanced.
Yeah.
Segway King coming through.
By the way, just for everyone to know, that's wrong. The remote armor repair bonus baseline, that stat is wrong. It is not that.
That's for overheat only, right?
Yes, correct.
Overheat
So
only, yeah.
basically, yeah. So for people that don't know, so when you overheat your guns, right, you increase your rate of fire and then the damage that you take. So what's going to happen is that when you overheat your reppers now, increases your rate of reps, so your reps will land faster theoretically.
It's a speed.
And
that it
then
does.
also the amount of what you rep also will increase. So that's also part of the changes. Yep, that's what they said.
Well, so is that
That's a
is that like
later-
is that like 10% speed and 10% amount upon overheat, or is
Yes.
that just like 5 and 5? What?
I
It's
need to
10%
ask.
speed already.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 10%
So the speed is in
so-
there.
So overheat will not be adding more speed. Overheat will be. They already get faster when you overheat them, but
Yeah.
overheating them now will also give extra amount.
Correct.
Of rep. Yes, correct.
Okay. All right. Cool. I was worried about that because a 10% black. The implication of this incorrect slide looked like it
Capacity,
was massively overpowering Logi.
Yes,
10%.
Their following slide
armor
that they
rep.
have, where they break it down, is a lot more clearer. I got like a lot of messages about it because people are like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "It's just not what it is." So
I didn't get a
just to be clear,
shot of that.
I can.
But I
post
know
it for
they
you,
showed.
that-
I know they showed it in the Q&A or the, which were definitely are between them. This is all from the, by the way.
Mm.
Topic. So in addition to this, they're teasing the new map as well. Talk about that at all?
No, there's loads more to talk about on the
Yes.
the Logi for T3
is.
season for Logi
There's
as well.
so much
So-
more.
Yeah. So another thing that's not on this slide is that Zarms are also getting a armor buff as well. So like with the new patch that's coming out, Zarms with high grade amulets, high grade with max links, armor links, you can in the pretty chatted outfit, you can get like 250 to 290k EHP. They're gonna be very tanky. Guardians are also gonna be super tanky, as well. Like we just had a fight like a week ago where like 100 Feroxes landed on our Guardians and Lodgings got instantly vaporized. And hopefully this change will make it so subcap Logi can actually live a lot better. And then the
Yeah,
Onir
these are really good changes.
Is there
I've
any
got
point in
to-
running T1 Logi at this point anymore for anyone?
If you're
for Navy sites in faction
Yeah.
war.
Yeah.
There'll still be a role for T1 Logi in like fleet fights where the EHP still doesn't matter. We're talking 250 man battlecruiser fleets who still just volley Logi, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask Nada something specifically because obviously I don't remember, and you have a fair amount of experience with specifically Tech 3 Logi. What is
yeah, there's
what is the reason that you might use a Tech 3 Logi setup over a regular T2 Logi ship?
I do not
In the
like Tech
current
3
era,
Logi,
not
but,
in this future
covert
era.
covert ops stuff. I think Tech 3 Logi has more EHP. It's tankier. You can
Okay, so
also
it's
make the
tankier, it's a
argument you can do
trade-off.
this like.
But it's still a
Yeah, but
trade-off,
like
right? Because they don't get the range.
Yeah. Yeah, the ranges that are garbage, right? So like the second you have to do a comp like I don't know, Snuff Legions where we have a Nestor, you can't use T3 Logi, right? Because you just can't reach the fucking Nestor who's off in fucking Africa on his own.
Yeah. So would it be correct to distill one of the main things about previous to this expansion? Using Tech 3 Logi is because you get notably more EHP, but you trade off. You've got to be literally on the ships you're repping.
Yeah, and you have like the sig of a fucking aircraft carrier.
Here's a question then. Honest question. Is that not actually a pretty good design of trade-offs in the game in that case? In that Logi basically maxes out at this kind of EHP, but it has the range and therefore the flexibility. And then Tech 3 Logi is for when you need to be a lot heavier. It's one of the stepping stones that you would hope for between Tech 2 Logi cruisers and a fax.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist, right? Because like the problems you're gonna have with Tech 3 Logi are the same problems you're gonna have with Tech 2 Logi, which is booster spam, fucking unbonus D-War spam from like when you're fighting, I don't know. So let's say there's some shitty group that uses Armor Nightmare so they can have like 5 ECM mids and
That
just spam
sounds
that on
very
your Logi.
pointed,
You can't
but
really
okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
like, there's not much you can really do in the.
Maybe that's something that could be solved in the future with, stacking penalties of E-War or something. I guess that's a different conversation. But
yeah, like
That'd be
Well,
cool.
no, I
I mean, like
I
after this
previously
patch,
felt-
there'll still be there's yeah. Good.
So they also buffed the Logi subsystems on Tech 3s a little as well, or was it just on the Legion?
It's all of them.
No,
It's all of them. So
It's all
what
of
kind of change did they do to the Logi subsystem?
More power grids.
Yeah,
More
right
power
there in
grid.
front of you.
Just
Yeah,
made it.
it's 60 more power grid. Yeah.
Okay, so it just eases up on the tight fittings
Yeah.
on those
Yeah,
ships.
You can nano fit them instead of PDS fitting them and stuff now.
Yeah,
There's also that a bunch of the other changes they've made in this patch compound on T3 stuff. So like the resist changes in the surgical strike reversion. Well,
that's a
they
topical deck
impact
too,
T3
yeah.
Logi more because you can heat more, and then the heat bonus on reps because you can heat more as well. Oh no, yeah, you can heat more on those as well. So they benefit T3C a lot more.
Well,
you got more slots on T3C too.
Here's my concern, and I know that these buffs to the regular Tech 2 Logi cruisers are going to be very good for them, but I do still have this concern that by making them straight up notably tankier with these extra bonuses, these roll bonuses that they're going to have, Surgical Strike is a different matter. These extra roll bonuses, notably on the Guardian to just straight up give it higher armor hit points. Is this just not elevating these Logis to be the preserve of larger fleets when that is something that should have been maybe solved by just buffing Tech 3 Logis to, make people say, well, we're in bigger fleets, we need them to be tankier, we're going to have to trade off and do this. Would that not have been a better position for the game to be in rather than just elevate the survivability of Logi across the board?
You'd have to buff Tech 3 hulls, and CCP don't want to do that because they don't want to find themselves in the era where Legions and Lokis dominated like they did before.
And
because they'd have to solve the SIG issue
Essentially-
where Guardians have like no SIG and Lokis have much higher SIG, and they don't want to do that.
I suppose, for anybody that doesn't know, basically Tech 3s used to basically be super hacks. They were just super hacks, and they were super recons at the same time to a large extent.
And
they also
one thing that
like
one thing that we're also not talking about regarding to, or we haven't talked about Logi is the CSM advocated for it, which is increasing or diminishing the remote repair diminishing returns formula. So basically, like in big super titan fights, the goal is so that supers and titans are able to receive better reps, especially in bigger fights. This has been a big complaint from a lot of players across the board.
So basically now like Faxes or
Yeah.
Supers and Titans will be able to tank better in those bigger
I feel
fights
like
because with the 200
I
and
don't.
300% Super and Titan EHP change as
I don't,
well.
I don't
This is
think it
like
really matters. Like it depends what you mean by big Super Titan fight, right? Because like it's a stage where it's like Titans versus Titans on the fucking Giga Blob scale. Doesn't matter, right? Reps don't fucking do a thing there.
that's
Does
true.
it mean like FRT morons who give Dreadbone they're probably going to survive a bit better now? Yeah. Or if I don't know someone like you go into the carrier fleet and someone spams 400 hurricanes at you, you might be able to survive a bit better now.
I will also say that, my concern about buffing the survivability of regular Logi ships, I think could end up being a bit harsher, impacting smaller fleet fights. But this fax change with the, easing up on the diminishing returns of reps, that doesn't really make a difference to small fights whatsoever, because it doesn't change anything.
Like
I mean, this was this patch, and like I don't want to call it an expansion because I don't think it deserves that. This patch and its reversion of pre-surgical strike, like especially the Super Titan changes and the resistance changes, feels very much like they're like, oh, we may have fucking destroyed the Super Capital Titan fight ecosystem. Perhaps we should adjust backwards, because these things don't happen anymore, and we need some media or something like.
I mean, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, but you're right. Sort of undoing something that harmed the game is not a new feature.
Correct.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
that's true. But like this is something that's been asked right from like many of us for like many
Yes.
years, and it's something that it needed to be done, and it moves the discussion forward, right? Like that's the biggest thing. Like now is like what's next? Like how can we get more Supers and Titans in space? How can we get the big wars again? How can we get the big fights again? And how can we just make it a better and healthier ecosystem overall in the game? Like,
speaking of,
are you asking?
I'm not going to speak about projection. I'm not going to say projection. Don't worry, but or fatigue. But like I'm saying, like it just moves the needle forward.
You said
there's the magic word.
Dude.
Yeah.
I said I'd have it ready.
I'm just saying.
So it's ready. If you say it, I'm gonna do that.
But
so
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
We have been dancing around because we knew it's a topic by itself. We've been touching upon it. We've been mentioning in it. Puke, you're talking about. It is good to get bad things undone. Yes, it is. We are seeing now the full undoing of the resistance nerf portion of the surgical strike update.
So I need to switch.
I, for one, I am a little bit nervous about, for example, my fleet content, which is almost all brawling, because we typically find ourselves engaging numbers where when they get into trouble, they start streaming more guys in. They're now going to survive for longer. But on the other hand, I'm going to survive for longer as well.
You're going to survive.
I'm going to survive.
You're also going to survive for longer if you spend more on your fits.
Yep.
We're
exactly.
going to. Yep. So if we start faction or dead space fitting our resists on our ships, I tell you what I'm really excited about is because I feel like I've had multiple golden eras in Eve, and one notable one that comes to mind is my early snuff days, and it was a golden era in that we were the only people in the area that in basically all of LowSec that were using essentially what were wormhole style fits and tactics at the time. Eventually the rest of the game grew to do the same thing, but that is Tech 2 resist ships, high tank, going, pressing your face against the enemy and screaming as they laid into you, but you are in a much more expensive, much tankier ship getting remote repped. And I feel like finally this starts to bring back the ability for that to be a realistic option for people in the game. And really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to... I know that they have their own problems with their resistances right now, but it is a buff nonetheless to using high damage, close range Tech 3 cruisers. It is obviously a bonus to using things like an absolution and a a rebuff to the Nighthawk, things like that as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing if people are going to be brave enough to start trying to fight somewhere where they are at risk of being pointed.
Not just that too, but like I think we'll be able to see like T3 cruisers potentially be able to fight like some battleship comps, like especially T1 battleships now. Like I think if maybe
Yeah,
people want
I
to
mean,
T3 speeds and stuff, it's making it more diverse, right? It's not just gonna be Vargas,
Feels
whatever,
kinda
blah, blah,
bad.
blah, blah, blah.
the cheapening of Tech 1 battleships is potentially what we might see on the horizon is the ability to return to AB hacks as well as a perfect sort of large fleet counter to that kind of thing. You know, the group that wants to spend a bit less and get as much power out of their guys as they can with the battleships, and the sort of higher end, higher spend group that wants to go with the T2 resists with their smaller numbers and still try and be able to have a go. Looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing that happening in large fleets, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, being able to do that on a smaller scale ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. If you're like an FC or a group that has maybe wants to form like 20 to 40 dudes, and a fleet comp maybe, like I think if you haven't ever been in pre-surgical strike era, it's just if you really dedicate the time and energy into your fits and your planning, it pays off a lot more. It's not like you can snowball as easily. It really pays off more dividends, I feel like, versus like you just hit F1 in your Ferox Navy and then you just obliterate something. It's something that, I mean, it's been 8 years. Like a lot of
It's a
people don't
direct
even
buff
know that
to,
era.
like this is
I mean,
like a direct buff that groups like Snuff and those other groups are big at that like invest a lot in their fits. Well, aside from big at fucking T3C fits, but like yeah, we get more out of our fits now thanks to this. Unlike when this fucking patch is introduced, and like I think T2 mutants lost like 4% of their EHP, while our max that cost like fucking $1.5 billion at the time lost like 54% of our EHP.
And the more depressing thing is, like, I remember, I can't remember what year it was, 2019 or 2020, whenever they did that change. And I remember sitting at the bar at the FanFest being like, don't do this change. This is a terrible fucking idea. You're like, I get you're trying to like kill, like, it was like goon supers and test supers or whatever they were really like against at the time. But like, I was like, this is going to fucking
was a
hurt
disgusting
everyone.
era.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
This was a
and
nerf
like just
against
begging
supers
them.
to buff fucking mutants.
Yeah, like it absolutely destroyed the like ecosystem, and it like nothing is probably more responsible for mutants online than Surgical Strike. And like it was just such a bad change at the time, and like this is almost entirely, this is basically like 100% full reversion, isn't it? Like I can't think of
It's
anything that they didn't.
100% reversion, except
Yeah.
they're
Except for
leaving
the
the
fact,
T2,
yeah.
the short range damage buff that is staying.
Which is so
That's
good.
good,
I mean,
yeah, that was fine. No one had an issue with that, right? It was just, oh yeah, we're also gonna discourage brawling by making everything fucking die in a second, so you have to kite now.
I mean, to be fair to them, in their mind, it was a case of we're going to increase the damage of super close range ammo, and at the same time, we're going to make the ships weaker so that people will be able to use their void in their blasters to kill them faster.
That was a big problem. Yeah, that was a massive problem CCP had in that era, whereas like you didn't get one nerf, you got like 15 nerfs at the same thing. It's like, oh, faxes now have diminished reps. Now everything is less resist. Oh, so they can only fit one cap booster. Or what was the other one they did? It's like, oh yeah, sirens now only have an AB and they can't be used on supers.
Oh, and your plates are 1/3 as effective as they used to be.
Yeah, like yeah.
But so I know we were all very happy for this changes. Is there anything like areas of concern or things that if you could talk to CCP
T1
that is
battleships,
missing?
I think, are still an issue. I think
Well, if they
T1
weren't-
battleships, I think the cost reduction thing they done was really stupid, especially when their previous thing was they were going to buff T1 battleships and then a new cost by the plate bonus, which they got. Now they've reduced their cost and now they've increased their resists. I don't think that was particularly a good change. Maelstrom shouldn't be 250 mil at their current power, or like Maelstroms are actually shit. Sorry, Rook shouldn't be 250 mil at their current power level.
Yeah, like I also worry that like CCP has like done a lot of these changes to revitalize quote unquote the Titan / super ecosystem, but the fuckers are still like insano level expensive. and they also haven't adjusted the fax price in relation to the dread price. So I still don't see anybody going like super. Like, don't get me wrong, people will still end up with a super fight here and there, but like, not like we're not going back to 2020 anytime soon unless like the whole ecosystem rebalances, right? Because some of those
And
are like
so,
the key factors. Like, you can't have 200 build Titans going up against like 8 build Dreads that also have like 9 mil EHP.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I mean,
So you
I think
would want to see then you want to see cheaper supers and like just make a list, right? Like what's missing.
I'm not
You
saying I
want to
want
see
this, but I'm saying that like if that's their goal is to have Titans and Super fights back to the level they were, you can't have Titans be 200 build. It's not gonna fly.
I don't think anybody would dislike them being cheaper. I don't think anybody has like any major grievances with something like that happening.
I think the only issue you'd have is if they were made significantly cheaper, like 55% or something, and they were given shit like
Yeah.
Halls back. I think if you give Halls or Titans Halls back in their current price, they're still fine. I think the
Yep.
Doomsday buff was probably a bit overkill. I don't know why I got that from the one it currently has, which I think is fine.
I feel like the single
And
target.
then
It was what
Supers
20%.
are still kind of garbage.
so the reason, like,
Yeah, they're
so part because you have basically the idea is that you want to be able to DD a dread with one Titan, right? And so
Yeah.
this would allow you to DD with the resist buffs on Rev Navies. It should be able to volley a Rev Navy slaved. Like that's the idea.
Because we over the last last 2 years, we've had a massive amount of hit point creep on the average dread fleet.
Yeah.
But
with that being
that's
said,
also
like,
up over the last decade with the move to Revelation.
It's also gone to
as well.
yeah, so it's a
I
20%
need to double check
base
that.
Doomsday buff and a 37% skill buff, which every Titan pilot is going to have at level 5 within like a week. That uses their Titan, right? So
Well,
literally
within
a
30 minutes of logging in.
Oh,
let's be real.
So for T1 for targeted Doomsdays, that's a 57.5% buff, which is pretty fucking huge in the scheme of
Yep.
things,
After
and I
they
don't really
doubled
think
it.
that was needed. What?
They doubled it recently as well, didn't they? So
Doubled what?
Like
This
Doomsday.
is the
Yeah.
second time they increased the Doomsday damage. Billy.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
in the
I don't think they
heyday
doubled
of Titans, you still had to use 2 Titans per dread, right? So like
If
back
not
in
more,
when we were
yeah.
fighting goons, yeah, like now it's going to be 1 to kill a navy. If a pot an amulet pot, I'm like, it's a bit much, but if it gets
But the
used
nice,
more, I don't really care. More kills for us.
I mean, not just that, right? But it's also like these are it allows CCP right to have more dials. If it is too oppressive or whatever, they can decrease the base damage from 20% to 10%, right?
I have
and so like
something to
this,
say about this.
like, and so I think it also allows them to get more tools in their toolkits. But I mean, it's not hopefully right. Like if it is becomes super oppressive for whatever reason or doesn't do what's intended, hopefully they can make more changes. In the
But
future.
CCP isn't good at turning these dials, and they don't know how to turn
Well,
the dials. Is the problem.
This is what I wanted to mention as a sort of segue towards something I hope that we only need to talk very briefly about, but the changes to power in the Equinox system. Namely that last year, obviously, CCP invented an entire row of levers specifically so that they could more finely tune the effective geography of Sov Null. And at this FanFest, they seem to have just put all of those levers onto maximum.
What do you mean by that?
They've essentially taken.
They
They said that when they were coming up with Equinox in the first place, they said, "You guys have been asking us for the ability to customize your space." And so they did this thing where you had to make certain choices in systems. They unnerfed it before it released. They unnerfed it again after release, and it feels like they've set all the levers to maximum this time round. So I think if people were in Sov Null were saying, we want to customize our space, I think that what that actually translates to, if you put it through the truth filter, is we want to be able to max everything out everywhere, and CCP appear to have caved to it.
I don't think that that's the case at all. Because if you max out one, like you lose everything from the other. Like you need both have proper system. And tweaking it to where one can generate the other, that just makes it easier to maintain the space. Like if you're jealous of our space, come take it, dude. Well, you can have it if you can take it.
I for
I'm
one,
not sure Norris is
my
gonna like you offering his space away like that.
Yeah. My concern is like I really like texture in space. I like different space areas to have like different values, whether it's in low sec or null.
You want to see
And
hills, valleys, and rivers.
I want hills,
want it to
valleys, and
matter.
rivers and orchards. I want it to matter. Like
Yeah.
give us like, you know, why did goons move? Because their space turned to be shit, right? It was bad, and so they had to do the Great Migration, right? Like, and so when
I mean, they
these
moved
updates,
because they could get their rigs off their Satoyos, and they were afraid of fucking being dreadbought or fucking bombed constantly by Lowland. That's pretty much the
Yeah.
reason they moved.
I'm pretty sure Delve was still better than space they took. So.
even that's the case.
I will
like,
also give them. I will also give them. In good faith, I'll say they also moved so that they could be closer to their enemies for content.
Exactly.
Mate, yeah.
That's our part.
But now, but it's a
content comes from defending Britain instead.
But at the same time, guys, right? Like it really does matter. Like the texture in null, the texture in low, and texture everywhere. Like it's if it becomes all uniform, why bother take systems? Why bother push? There should be like value, different spaces, better value. And if this sort of reduces that, like why do you fight? Like why do I want to take space? I don't know. Like I'm not a null guy, but like
this is a question. This is a very good question. It's a question that has been, why is it that this is virtually flat across all of nullsec? And this set of options that CCP is giving with the power essentially is allowing them to further smooth out the systems here.
Yeah, I think it's
here's all the levers. We're not going to touch any of them. We're just going to set them to max.
Yeah.
People can build a system into a specializing for virtually anything that they like now.
You're against that? I can't tell you why. How can you be against that?
How can I be against CCP?
Do you think that
listen,
the
wait,
reasons
listen,
to
let me
take
finish.
space
Let me
are
finish.
not plentiful at this point? Do you know how much renting income is?
Okay,
I'm being for real with you.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were playing a character there.
I'm not. I'm telling you that it's not like there are plenty of reasons to take space. It's just so fucking painful because it's so fucking painful to do.
There's one good change which I believe is a good start, and that is the Skyhook transfer. Upon taking over a system, I think that's a good start. That is the direction I'd like them to continue going in. I wouldn't. I'm not saying that I think it should be you take over a system and you can switch all the citadels to your own ownership. But, you know, perhaps when you have put the work in to take the Sov, maybe all of the other enemy structures should gain a big disadvantage of some kind.
Yeah.
I'm going to disagree.
Yeah, more uncontested structure bashes. Woohoo!
Hello, Drake. We have Drake in on with us.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently phoning in from the bottom of the ocean. How are you doing?
How is the mic check?
It's terrible. Phantomite, that idea was very bad. Because you know why? Structure bashes are already uncontested a lot of the time. That's a part of what makes it so
You
painful.
just started this by saying that it's a massive grind to take systems.
I did. But it's not a grind if they're fighting for it. Drake, you sound like you're in a bag at the bottom of a lake, and if you don't shut the fuck up, that's where you're going to be.
I want to hear from Drake. But we've all got to be quiet.
SpongeBob,
so we can just about hear him.
We don't have to be.
I'm walking back to my hotel. That's why. How is my change off my headset? Am I legible? Can people hear me?
No.
Okay.
We hear you,
listening.
SpongeBob.
We're being quiet
what
because it's difficult to hear you.
If you could pay a large premium to steal someone else's citadel, then you could make them low power and then steal all the items inside. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
If you don't defend your space and you roll over and we don't have to glass your fucking structures, let's fucking take it and make it a loop pinata. Why not? If you're not going to put boots on the ground and defend it, then fucking gotta be a cost.
versus going
Is
to
everyone
would
else
need
looking
to- it
forward
would
to
also
having
need to
only
be-
use shield doctrines in certain space?
Oh, if there
I
was
don't think
ever what I don't know why CCP felt the need to add another defensive buff for the Sov holder. It's insane. The Sov holder already lives there with all of their stuff.
You also get the buff.
I can't wait for your
system
instant
wide.
change.
What do you mean?
For a full disclosure, the CSM was not aware of this being in the expansion
You're talking about the gamma things?
whatsoever.
The gamma things are
No,
cool as
dude, like
shit.
all the system wide. No, dude, it's fucking. Like, there's also a question like if it stacks on Titan phenoms or not, and
Why
how does
wouldn't
it stack if it does? Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, that's.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that we didn't have it
With
already.
every
What do you
low-sec,
mean?
every null-sec system, it's like fucking Cruise Bargus in a fucking black hole. It's gonna be fun.
Yo, I
Yeah.
had to take a phone call. What did I miss in the last like hour? Somebody fill me in. Where are we at?
Redline
talking
really
about the
likes
weather
stuff
now.
being defensive. The
I-
weather.
We're talking
Give me
about
something to get angry about.
We're talking about the anchorable weather for the Sov holder now.
They said
Yeah,
they can
not only
switch that
can
like
you-
in an instant, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah,
then that
so
means that you
when
can
they
just like
were-
prep what you want to bring and then switch.
when they
There's
were
no
panel-
way that could be changed in an instant. That'd be the dumbest shit ever.
It is. I'm pretty
Well,
sure I heard them specifically say it's
listen,
not downtime to downtime.
They
it's like
did
you can turn
say
it on
that
off.
it would. They did
There was a
say that it,
Q&A.
it would still take downtime for it to take effect.
No,
So
someone
it's not, you
someone
turn
asked
it
this
on.
question.
It's not like a 10-minute spool. Or
Someone
anything
asked
like
this question in the Q&A.
So you
that.
just
They did.
Alright, so you're you're a Chinese group, right, or an Australian group, right? You time all your stuff from downtime. You get in just before downtime, so you get in a fight, right? You know what doctrine the enemy has, then you switch it so it's like I don't know. Say they bring fucking TFIs, you switch it so it's the shield bonus after. You have all your stuff there, the enemy doesn't. Like, what the fuck is that going to be like?
The
My
thing is,
point
though,
is,
they're only
it's not
defensive
really
bonuses, right? They're not
downside.
offensive ones. So it's like
They absolutely are offensive ones. You see the overheat bonus of the plasma?
I didn't
one's
see that one. No,
insane.
I only saw like the
Okay,
the
now listen.
scan res and
Listen,
lock range
I
and shield and armor.
I need to talk more about this idea of it's fine because it applies to the invading forces as well, right?
It doesn't
the way
help.
that it doesn't help because the way that what the invading force has to face is they have to deploy their ships to the area, and they can't bring a double doctrine of every single ship size with them. At the moment they would they might bring. Obviously, I know I'm oversimplifying this. Here's our cruiser doctrine. Here's our battleship doctrine. Here's our capital doctrine. Right, and then the enemy just is like, oh well, they've got most of their things are shields, so we're going to turn our armor up so that they don't get any bonuses from it, but we'll just go armor. The person who lives there already has 5,000 different abilities to switch doctrines. The invading force doesn't. I don't know why this isn't being regarded as a hugely extra defensive only addition to the game.
I also don't
I would
know
say
why
fans,
there's no downside on it whatsoever.
not just
There's
that,
only
right? But like
upsides. Yeah.
we've been asking for a very long time as a community of more tools for attackers, more tools to be able to fuck with people's space, more tools to influence the Sov, right? And we're getting consistently defender buffs. Like I want more abilities to mess with people that own Sov, and we're just not getting it still, and it's very disheartening.
Yeah,
Who asked for
also,
something
we've got Derp in chat, and I need to say in defense of Puke, in defense of you here, he's complaining that we've got a low sec CSM and yet we haven't seen any low sec buffs. All of the logi changes, the tech tree changes, the resist changes are they affect all.
All right, don't worry.
spells,
I will.
but they are
I will insult
hugely-
him in alliance chat.
They are hugely.
Like the Titans fucking all the Titan super buffs are all pretty much for low sec, given Big Ab and Snuff are the only two groups that have used Titans and supers in fights recently. Actually at risk fights.
Yeah, I mean, Derp, I don't know what you want. These are huge buffs which overwhelmingly assist low sec. I don't know what. Why don't you tell us in the chat what you wanted to see that is only applicable to low sec, and I'm sure that Puke will assess it and roll it into his next meeting.
While he's typing, Puke, can you unban Deeves? He wants to give you feedback in the low sec Discord.
Wait, who? Unban who?
Deeves Spare.
What do you
From
mean?
Alexis Masari.
What do you mean? He's banned from the Eve Discord?
Yeah, no, from your one, from your
No,
low
he's
stake
not.
Discord.
Hey, listen,
You
moving
banned
on.
him the other day.
Redline.
What?
In a moment, you know, I sent you a video clip on YouTube earlier.
Yeah.
Could you cue that one? Could you cue that one up to be shown for us, please? Thank you.
No,
Greg,
I
I'm
can't.
texting you.
Absolutely not. I can't do it. I can't.
I'm walking back to my hotel. I'm gonna fucking collapse, dude. I'll look at it in a minute.
I mean, one of the interesting things that nobody's talking about with this system-wide SOV modifiers is how interesting it would be if somebody still had a shield super fleet in the game versus everybody having armor or mixed fleet now.
I mean,
Where this would be one of the
shields-
actual situations where it would be an actual defender advantage if you had a shield fleet and you could utilize a shield HP SOV thing.
Yeah, yeah. How big do you think that super fleet is these days? What's the readiness level?
What fleet?
Just as big as it
shield
needs to
super
be.
fleet.
Like nobody has a shield super fleet anymore. Like Horde has some, Goons have some. Everybody's got some, but like there's no organized shield fleet anymore in the game that I'm tracking.
Okay. All right.
I feel like
I mean,
this.
don't get me
this
wrong. Most
thing-
of the test stuff is still like dispersed among the various alliances, like the old, shield fleets,
Yeah,
but it hasn't died per se.
No.
But half of the rags are now hyper rags.
Small gang ships.
Basically, yeah.
To a degree.
That's what
I feel like the
hyper
Sov
is.
thing, Fant, is like they wanted. It feels like to me they wanted to buff holding Sov in some way, but it's like this doesn't make Sov any more attractive to own. This just makes it better to defend.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it doesn't benefit taking more Sov. It just benefits defending Sov. Like it's a buff to Sov. It's not a buff to owning more Sov.
Yeah. It's not a buff to attacking to take Sov. In fact, it's a nerf.
I just don't see what it really adds to the game. I just don't see what interestingness it actually adds to the game.
Another unique way to change your space.
I'll tell you what it feels like.
That's all
It
it is.
feels like a misstep evolution of Metaliminal Storms. What I would have liked to have seen instead is an overhaul of Metaliminal Storms. It's something that you can't prevent, you can't predict, but it will bring unintended effects to the system, and you can choose whether to take advantage of them or whether to suffer because of them, rather than something that you
I mean,
are
the
in full
storms-
control of.
Did anyone actually like the storms? They just seemed like fucking
No.
dumb, non-deterministic.
I love the concept of the
non-deterministic factors that no one really cares about.
It's just
I
really
mean, I
fucking
love the
annoying.
concept of the storms. It's just that their implementation is kind of like Blackout, where it's all stick, no carrot. There's no actual points.
Yeah.
for the
When storms came out, we were basically at during the peak structure spam. Storms were a fantastic opportunity to be a hurricane is forecast to hit, batten down the hatches. Your structures are going to lose a lot of their abilities when the storm comes and blows your tethers away for 3 days, that kind of thing, And these storms did nothing of value whatsoever. And it feels like now we've got some kind of weird evolution of storms, except it's player controlled and exclusively defensive.
I will say there's one storm that I really like is the Plasma Storm. It makes the Enyo viable and optimal. So shout out to my Plasma Storm homies.
Hey,
I mean, the no cloaking storm is pretty fucking relevant to like a lot of things, to be honest.
Yeah, in theory. So it very briefly changes. It halts certain aspects of the wider meta.
Yeah,
Well, no, it
there's
has a
enough
pretty big.
content.
It has a pretty big effect on things.
When you say briefly, that is incorrect because the pathing of storms is broken shit and they can get stuck for months, if not years, in the same place.
So at the moment, that storm is really a look. There's no point trying to get a fight here because everybody's cleared out type thing.
I just think
How many
big
people are getting crabbed in
non-deterministic
those
stuff like that is really
no-cloak
good for the game.
ones?
Yeah. If you could control storms and like force them into enemies like areas, like, ooh, let's push the no cloaking storm into their HQ or the no Sino storm into this area, like that shit would be super fucking spicy. But
well, I mean, surely this is a golden opportunity, not system wide, but to fire, for lack of a better phrase, weather clouds from some kind of capital support ship. Like perhaps some kind of Tech 2 carrier, or even a Tech 1 carrier that can fire a cloud of effect, that kind of thing. Not unlike a phenomena generator. Maybe that would have been a more suitable.
If somebody had to set up
way
like a wormhole generator where you had to sit there and anchor it for like 6 hours, and it would cause any nearby storms to like slowly approach you or something, that would be kind of cool. That would change the dynamics a little interesting.
I mean, we've talked about this for 10 minutes, and we've got more interesting ideas already.
I think one thing. I mean, I wish there was like more Saw. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if this is a thing or not, but I haven't lived in Saw in a little bit of time. But one really cool update I always thought was like a Saw pub upgrade to increase like the null to null wormhole connections in your space, so you can have an upgrade that like will increase the RNG or whatever of certain wormholes, so you can like whale more effectively and attack remotely. But that's also projection, and that's bad. So never mind.
The last time they did that, everyone said it didn't work. CCP unequivocally said it did, but everyone was like, "Nah, I don't fucking believe you."
Didn't work, right? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wish there
people
was
say
more.
it didn't work, but CCP said it absolutely did. But due to the random nature of wormholes in stateless space, there's no way to verify it over a short period of time.
Like that's why I keep thinking. It's like, how can we make it like encourage then these groups that live in null to like attack each other, like more attacking options? I just think this is just regression. But
I have one really good idea to raise the stakes and make people in Softnull fight each other. And if there was some way to make them incentivize them to live closer to each other, so that they were at more risk from each other, then it might help a lot.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Redline, could you play that video for us, please?
I don't have the video queued. I told you no that I wouldn't queue the video, and I didn't. I didn't queue the video. I'm not going to let you take over and turn it into a projection conversation.
Could you queue up the video, please?
You have to link it to me
Redline,
again.
that sounds like you're projecting. I'm sorry.
I've just pinged you. I've just pinged you in the backstage text with the link.
Oh, okay. Well, hold up. Let me.
Thank you. Somebody dressed as a dragon asked a question at FanFest. Although I believe it was more on the lines of they were asking if they could literally be a dragon in the game with a.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Like...
Alright, hold on. I gotta put the
Here we
sound
go.
in.
Here's the video.
Right, don't start me off on that one.
We gotta put. I
I
gotta
mean,
put
if
sound
you want
in first.
if you want a furry cat in the game, I like them to see his head.
The best thing about questions like that is CCP representatives have to seriously answer them. Like, you ask that question to Fozzie and he's got to keep straight face while he answers.
Did you guys see the guy
Who
asking?
Who asked the question? Do we know that guy, that gentleman, that beautiful man that asked that question?
Which question?
The Ansi.
The dragon question.
It was a paid actor. Phantomite
was it a paid actor?
From Blue Canary. Yeah, Phantomite paid him from Blue Canary to go and ask.
Oh yeah.
And now Phantomite getting really fucking mad at me.
Was that
This
it? 'Cause, like this guy with luscious locks, beautiful glasses, chatted arms, dude, is asking the most important question of all time.
Redline, is there an easy way
Who
for
is
you
this
to
guy?
pipe the sound into Discord so that we can hear it as you play?
No,
it?
there isn't.
Okay. All right, listen, guys. If you want to see this video and you're on the call,
Wait,
with us
which
now,
one?
Just unmute on the
Look
screen.
at your screen. Don't be a boomer.
And there you go. Redline, could you play the video for us?
About projection. So, seeing as it's been about 5 years since we started the Ansiblefs conversation, and seeing that we allegedly have full CSM buy-in for nerfing the Ansiblefs,
I mean, like Phantomite was the original version where he didn't know how.
Will you shut the
to
fuck
open,
up,
and the
dude? I'm
second
playing the
version's better.
video. Will you shut up? I'm playing the video. Jesus Christ.
You guys shut up for a second. Good grief.
Fucking morons.
Yeah, the Twitch channel.
Hello. I'd like to talk about projection. So, seeing as it's been about 5 years since we started the Ansiblefs conversation, and seeing that we allegedly have full CSM buy-in for nerfing the Ansiblefs, I'd like to ask why there isn't fatigue on Ansiblefs yet.
Ooh, big questions. Do you wanted the answer? Do you want to watch the whole video, Phantomite?
Yeah, keep going. I want to hear CCP's
Motherfucker.
answer.
All right.
Good question.
Yeah. So this is like the answer that's not always super satisfying is that it's something that we are we're very like interested in exploring. We have made some changes, but it is a complicated ecosystem and one where there's a lot of different views, a lot of different goals we're trying to hit. A buy-in for like one type of nerf isn't necessarily buy-in for another type of nerf. So it's definitely something that we're planning on making more changes to, but for the specifics of that, there's nothing I can commit to at this time. You want to, yeah?
Yeah, I just want to jump in. One thing that whenever we've been talking about ansiblexes that I found quite interesting is that we also have to consider the whole ecosystem of ansiblexes. Like, as a tool for projecting to other groups, they can be oppressive. But for the person that wants to just hang out in their home system or go to the designated PI systems or mining systems, having that access and having that safety is very enjoyable. So while we can agree that in aspects they are oppressive, there are some aspects which is like, this is actually just really nice for the person, the average line member that just wants to have a good time in space. So whenever we're having these conversations about ansiblexes, it's like we have to consider the person that just wants to use the network versus the person that wants to use it to project across to their enemy or to their borders.
I would just like to remind everybody that if you want to travel without fatigue, Stargates are available.
They are great options.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
I agree. Yeah. Thanks. I'll just note.
Ooh, that was
Spicy.
rude. That was rude of him to say that.
True. It's also
So
true.
This paid actor, right? I mean, I don't know how much money, but like he was handsome. You know, he was good looking, and I don't know how much he paid Phantom but it definitely cost at least a tenner.
I mean, it's
But
an
their answer
incredibly
made
good point,
sense.
right? Because we've had just a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, you could probably tell me more accurately, we had what CCP themselves described as the first stage of addressing this, and here we are with at least the vast majority of the CSM all, you know, when you ask them, agreeing on this. CCP saying that there is more to come, and then FanFest coming and there's nothing there, and then this question being asked and they say that they don't even have a timeline for it. It's beginning to feel quite offensive.
Poor baby. You
I
poor
mean, I
thing.
think
It's
the
definitely
reality
one of
is,
the feedbacks I've given to CCP.
I think the reality is that CCP is just running out of time. I hate to say it like this, but like the player base of Eve is it's much more consistent than one would expect for a game like this. But there is a point where content needs to come to keep players interested. And that means new ships, new things to do, you know, new excitement, new strategies, new everything, right? And the speed at which CCP is releasing them, and I'm not going to say because they're focusing on other games, but, you know, the speed they're releasing them is just not good enough. Like, this is like, this is the thing I want to talk about more than anything in this segment of the show. It was just like, is this it? Like, I hate to say it like this, but like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, guys? Like,
I'm there with you, man. It's like when you think of an expansion, you think of something that's gonna actually like expand the universe, you know, give you some new content to enjoy. Yeah, sure, we get 2 new ships, but otherwise it's just, you know, you're making a change, you're fixing something that you broke 5 years ago. Like that's the biggest thing.
and something I told them was going to break things when they did it.
Now, don't get me wrong, though. I'm excited about, you know, what's coming. I think that everything that is coming is fine. I don't have the same doom and gloom outlook as you do, and I'm not sad that they didn't.
I don't have a
make
doom and gloom
change.
outlook so much.
No, not you. I'm
as
sorry. I was looking at Phantomite when I said that.
But like I do have a doom and gloom outlook, and like we're on a clock here. Like this level of content just isn't acceptable for the modern video game market anymore. Like once a year we get like a half patch. Like you can go to any normal video game and like every 3 months they know they've got to put something out to keep players interested, especially on a fucking subscription service video game.
Right. I was just gonna say you're
Like,
not gonna pay
Jesus
$20
Christ.
for that game either.
Like if you put this on the scale of like even more predatory than fucking gacha games when it comes to like if you actually do the fucking math, which is like depressing as fuck. You know,
I
because
think that's
here
a
we
bit
are.
of an unfair statement, Billy. Like
It's an unfair statement.
gacha games literally like ruins people's lives and multiple.
Do you think the average
I don't know.
person?
Have you talked to Baz after he crashes out of the AT every year?
Okay,
Oh, come on, man.
Okay, like here's
You
what
haven't
I'm
left you in
saying.
lights yet, buddy.
I mean, I know you're the comment you're coming from, but like think about it this way: EVE Online is like $20 a month if you're not plexing, times 12 months. That's $240 a year times multiple accounts for the average player, right? So you're talking upwards of $400 to $500 a fucking year for EVE Online. Are you joking? Like, and like, let's be honest here: the people that are keeping this game alive are the new players who are dumping thousands of dollars into Plex, like, because otherwise nobody would be playing this fucking game anymore. So yeah, I think that the gacha comparison is actually fucking not unfair anymore. Like,
what I think I would like to say, which is like, you know, branches off from what you say about this expansion being largely contentless, given that a significant portion of it is just undoing things they broke before, is I don't think that new ships is necessarily the only thing that can be considered new content, because, you know, I've said it before on this show, but if they were to do, you know, they've done a balance pass on like 2 Tech 1 cruisers, right, to try and bring them out of irrelevance. I think that, you know, if twice a year we could see a big rebalance, not just fixing something that they broke, but a big rebalance on an entire line of ships, sort of twice a year, to kind of keep the meta just moving and undulating and,
no,
and turning over.
that is unacceptable, Phantomite. When
then-
we were on the fucking CSM,
remember-
we told them we wanted Project Talos to do fucking patch changes once a
We did.
fucking month.
We
And you
did.
know what we got? We got once every 2 months. And then the second when they were gone, they were like, fuck this shit. We don't have to do any more changes once every half
know.
year for these bitches. And you know what? The community fucking accepted it. They went down on their knees and they're like, go, give me that fucking cock, CCP. And it's fucking unbelievable that we put up with this. And like now it's like, oh, it's FanFest. Oh, we got a
What I
little bit of
will-
a patch change that we were due
Billy.
4 fucking years ago.
You're not wrong.
Everything Billy
You're not
said
wrong.
was correct there.
Listen, you're not wrong. And Team Talos, when it
But,
was
guys,
first
like-
formed, was amazing because it was but monthly releasing a slew of just tweaks. Sometimes just tweaks. Sometimes that is what will just make us happy. Is just, please just adjust the digits in the database on these 10 guns in this series, right? And but just do it regularly. Do it regularly, please. Just
But not
keep on
at your
doing
fan
it.
fest. Don't announce that you're doing it at your fan fest, please.
I mean, but like, to be fair
They
to
had nothing
GCP,
else.
right? If you're going to announce anything at FanFest that's going to get the player base happy, you know, Vertical Strike being reverted, right? It's not acceptable, right? I know that, but like, for everyone to be like, this is the like, to me, this is the best change they've made in years, right? Since probably faction threads.
Yeah,
But like,
absolutely.
it's unacceptable, and it's a database change that you could have fucking intern to do on a fucking Sunday afternoon or like Monday afternoon.
Well, that's all the Talos changes used to be. It was literally like, because
Well,
we were literally watching them do them at the time as like CSM. We're like, okay, what are the changes we're going to get this week or this month? And they'd be like, this is this. And we're like, awesome. And then they would do it, and it like I remember having a conversation with CACP, and they were like, yeah, it takes us like an afternoon. One guy's got to decide them, and the other guy's got to code it in, and then they had to like test it or something. Like it was literally like under 8 hours of work for the entire company to make like game-changing fucking decisions. And now we're like, ooh.
What I would like to see as an
It's not
expansion
marketable
one day,
for them though.
What
Like,
I would
they
like
can't
to see-
sell-
No, but it is. It is. We love it when they rebalance a line of ships.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but like from a marketing perspective, from CCP's perspective, because they have to sort of market their changes to their parent company now as well, and they have to market to their massive ad campaigns that are going on. They can't be like, oh, we changed some cruises. They don't care. They can't
you're right.
market this stuff.
Yeah.
So stop.
No, listen,
This,
you're
this
right.
doesn't stop. This doesn't need to be marketed. This is just about keeping your current player base happy. And you would be surprised how many of those new players that leave Don't leave if the game is not shit, because the balance is actually fluctuating in interesting and meaningful ways.
Yeah,
What I would
and
very much like to see
just to be
is.
clear. Go on. Sorry. Yeah, so really just also harking back to your $20 thing. At the CSM Summit, we like massively championed that to say that the $20 as a prime point is literally crippling them in new players. And at the same time, we were pretty much almost unanimously drilling home the fact that balance changes are not hard as long as you have the focus groups to do the impact assessment to see what is wrong, what is an issue, what needs to be fixed, or at least
I'll be honest here. Like, if I will take a job from CCP for $0, give me the Switch, I will make 2 minor balance changes every fucking month, or suggest them. The community can say yay or nay if they want, and I guarantee you the game would be better for the next 2 years. Like, it would be easy. Like because it doesn't have to be hard. It's like, oh, the Vector gets an extra 5% drone damage bonus. It would be like, why does it need that? I was like, Billy's doing that change. And you know what? People would be like, that's interesting. Let's try it. Or the Ferox is getting a 2.5% nerf on X bonus. People would try it. Like, all of a sudden, people would be interested in the theory crafting, in the fleets. It changes the dynamics so fluidly. Everybody would be like, bam, yeah, let's do that. This is an 8-hour change for an entire fucking company.
Oh, I guess the question.
Hold on. I want to say just two quick things on the bringing out new ships front. In theory, I am all for CCP adding new ships every year. However, in like 1 a year, 2 a year, 2 this month, 2 another month, whatever. What I am really not liking is the combination of incredibly slow or no balance changes whatsoever to ship and weapons, combined with them making new ships that have special snowflake abilities and just constantly piling in brand new abilities. It's like you've got a problem with the complex engine in a big vehicle, and CCP is addressing it by just throwing as many brand new spanners into the cogs as they can, rather than like taking a closer look and adjusting what's in there before adding a new feature. And if they add new ships that don't really have some massively special snowflake feature that clearly took a lot of dev time to make this one single snowflake feature, and they instead just did some tweaks, then I would be happy for them to start bringing in a few new abilities. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, I just wonder like how. Let me see. I want to phrase this. Like on their side of things, I feel like that they have to sort of provide or show something new, right? And so like it isn't like sure, like personally for me, like a big advocacy piece is like that I've been doing is like I would love a year of just fixes. Fix the entire game in a year. Don't release anything that's new.
You could even call it Crucible 2. Do you remember the Crucible expansion?
I was probably 12. So I was too young to play this game.
Good grief.
But it's like when these changes come out, it's like there's a part of the player base that wants new content. They want all new shit. They want another Potchfin.
Reminder: a rebalanced line of ships that were previously largely unusable is new content.
It's true, but you have to then convince them of that, right? Like you have to say that, hey, by swapping the meta or naming systems like level 4 missions or high-sec missions or tags in faction warfare or all these old systems that haven't been iterated or developed on, like there's this balancing act that you have to fix that shit and create new things, add new cogs, as you were saying.
Well,
and it's difficult for them because for them it's like, how do I market this? How do I sell this? We're gonna take tags out of faction warfare LP stores.
I understand it can be difficult for them. They've only been doing this for 20 fucking years.
I'm playing devil's advocate. That's all I'm by the way. Like I agree with
listen,
you guys, but,
you're playing devil's advocate, but you're also not wrong. But at the same time,
stop. Let me explain for
Billy's
something.
point. Wait, hold on, Billy. Billy's point that this is just a few hours of work, often for one person, because a lot of these changes could be value changes, is absolutely
I think it was
true.
3 people, but yeah. Or well, it was one person to figure out the change, one to code it, and one to test it, if I remember correctly. But it was very little actual fucking work. But also it's important to remember, when you change ships, you know what happens? If people like flying a ship, you know what they do? They buy the fucking skins.
The market is stimulated in game for the ships. The market is stimulated for skins in game and directly to CCP.
I think,
Yeah,
I think what Billy said earlier about this like rapid balancing of ships. My initial response upon hearing it was like, "Ooh, no, I don't want to have to make new fits every week." But then I was like, "That's kind of part of the appeal of what it would be," and I think it would work for both keeping the FCs engaged and for keeping line members engaged, because the FCs are the people who want to be invested into making the content, right? They're going to look at
And let
the
me be
changes,
clear.
and they're going to go, "Oh,
Once
the
a
Abso's
month,
better. We're going to use Absos." Whereas the line
once a
members will
month
get
is
to
going
just
to be
fly
a
new
very
ships.
slow. Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like once a month is a very slow pace. Like, you know, but like it can't be, you know, one moderate change every 6 or 12 months. Like, this pace is just unbelievable.
I mean, I think. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it more often. I think all of us agree on that. But like, I
mean-
wouldn't want to see like, hey, we added 5% drone damage to the Vexor, 5% damage to the Rupture, 3%. That's your month, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
No, you would.
I mean, here's the
You
thing.
know what I mean? Like,
we spent 7 years in the Munin era. That is a wild figure, and we may not be seeing things take 7 years to at least mildly change the meta anymore. But even a single year for something to be wildly dominant of everywhere that matters in a large fleet scale is unacceptable at the moment. It's boring. We're paying, and it's getting boring. And they could spend a team of them could sit down and spend, let's say for argument's sake, a couple of days just to make some minor changes in the database, and they would freshen the game for the next few months for all of the existing paying players.
It's true, and also, not to shift responsibility, I do think CCP does play a big role in it, but we also play a big role in it, and the content that we generate. So, like for example, we started an MPSI HOD Dread group called Hawes Anonymous, and then you can take your HOD Dread, we'll support you with a support fleet, and you can get your HOD Dread for the first time ever, and you can get a fight. Like, and I still think the game is tons of fun, and yes, we're debating like these issues of X, Y, or Z, or like related to fits or balance passes. But like at the end of the day, like we as the players also are involved in this and creating content. And I think it's just a balancing act. And it's like
To be
it's
clear,
so
though,
easy. It's so easy to just sit and be like, we need X, Y, or Z. But like we also have the tools already in the sandbox to create the stories that we want to see, to create the content that we want to see. Sure, it's difficult and challenging these issues, but we're
my
still
brother,
fucking
you're
having
being
fun.
dumb and retarded. So let me explain.
How?
So what you just said there is you think you can control human nature.
I can control what my group does to have fun.
It's both.
Yes.
It's
like
both.
I
Listen.
can choose, Billy. Nothing stops you from undocking HOD Dreads, gating to whatever, bringing 50, 60 dudes, and having a grand ass time. No balance pass is gonna do that. No CCP advertisement's gonna do that. That is your choice.
But that's
And,
not
like,
true because,
But
for
correct.
instance,
No.
for
Let me
example-
handle this. Let me handle this. So that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Why don't you do it right now? Why don't you go?
I'm doing it
suicide?
every day. We're
Right.
doing it literally almost every day, and it's tons of fun.
Yeah. So
what's the
show
issue?
Me.
On the Black Rise.
So what's that?
Yeah,
The
like
issue
what's
is
the issue?
I don't
We're
wanna
literally
do
doing
that,
it.
young
People are
puke.
doing it weekly. But that's the thing, like people are having fun in this game, right?
That's
and so like
amazing.
I never
there's,
said
there's
people
tons-
were not having
What-
fun.
I
what
know,
you were
but I'm saying
saying-
that we have the tools.
What you are
We have
saying
the
is that
tools
we have
and
the
the
tools,
ability to create
but
those
you
stories.
do. You have the tools to create your story. Our tools are dog shit. You got a shiny brand new
What tools
shovel.
are your dog shit?
The,
What tools
have
do
you
you
ever
ever done
tried
that
to
I don't
take
have?
Sov in this game, young puke too?
Yes,
Like
Sov
from
is
an
dog
en-
shit, but there's the
from
whole
an
other rest of
okay,
the game.
so Sov is dog shit. Do you know what nullsec is dominated by? Taking
It's
and
dog
holding Sov. Like that's
Yeah,
an
and
entire
is
part of the
Sov
player
the
base that
entire
you're just
game?
you're just telling for
is that-
nullsec.
is
Yes,
Sov the
damn,
entire
you're
game?
goddamn right. It's most of
Then
it.
you can
That's
go
the
ahead
whole
and
point.
Redline, aren't
go
you part of the
literally-
coalition that has a bunch
Hold
of
on,
no
that
aggression, no
doesn't
aggression
fucking
pacts?
matter what part of
Like,
coalition I'm part of.
You're
What
taking
matters
Sov,
is
you're
that
not
you're
allowing
telling
yourself to
me,
take Sov.
you're telling
Guys,
everybody
guys,
that they
guys,
have the
guys.
tools.
Guys,
Guys. I'm a host of the show. I'm talking. If everybody's talking when I'm talking, they can shut the fuck up, frankly.
But
here's the
Redline,
thing:
why
is
not
that
make
young
your
puke,
own
shut up.
rules?
You are telling me that I have the tools that I need to take and hold Sov, and that I have the tools to go out and have fun doing that, while simultaneously telling me that the Sov tools are dog shit. My friend, that is what we were trying to tell you, is that you have the tools to have fun the way that you want to. And I am happy for you, and I'm proud of CCP for giving you and the people you play with what they want. But the people that I play with, the people that I talk to, that want to actually go to war, would like a reason, would like a way to do it that
What's stopping
isn't
you, Red Line, to
going...
form your whole new alliance and coalition
my
yourself
God.
right now? What is stopping you?
Did you listen to any
know
of
what
the
stops
words
him?
that I said?
No, but what's stopping you? Like,
Did
what
you
is
listen to any of the words that I said?
I did.
Or were you
And I'm asking,
okay?
what is stopping you?
Because I told you the tools are dog shit.
To be clear, what stops him is 100,000 hours of work.
Okay, and then how do you solve that?
How do you?
That's a fantastic question for a game developer.
That's exactly the issue. Nobody in here has an answer to that.
Nobody has an answer. Why? What's the answer? If there's too much work, what's the answer?
That's a great question for a game dev, Young Puke, too. Why don't you fucking ask them?
No, we don't need it.
The problem is
that
they're not engaged in solving the issue at all.
Okay, now
answer to that question.
What will help you? What will help you? If you don't, the tools are dog
Can you
shit.
shut the fuck up for a second, Jesus, and let somebody answer the questions you're asking? The answer to that question is you make there an incentive for somebody to do that work.
Okay, what's that incentive?
Well, that is an interesting question, and the answer has to be something along the lines of financial rewards or recognition.
No one can provide me an answer.
What will incite you to make your own?
None of us are game developers.
Villy, just a quick question, like just to get it away from the argument's sake. Is this patch, the freelance stuff, a step in the right direction? And what would your improvements be?
I think it's a step in the right direction, absolutely. But with saying that, it's a tenth of a step when it should have been 5 steps, if that makes sense.
What are the other steps, Billy? What are the other steps needed?
Towards what goal?
So you
can take Sov and it's not
Here you
dog
go.
shit.
Here's the steps. So
For Sov
in this,
to be not dog
in
shit.
this next
Because like
patch,
we're just jerking off right now.
Jesus
So Redline, what are
fucking
the steps
Christ.
needed?
Brother,
What are the
You've
steps?
changed,
you don't,
you've changed the
if
subject from what I was talking about.
Christ, I'm starting to
Just-
answer the
just-
question. He's like,
just go back
Redline,
to the
Redline.
thought, yeah.
Listen, shut up for a second. Just let me tell you, okay? Here's one thing, one aspect of taking and holding Sov that is shit, and it's killing citadels. Citadels have 3 timers. The first one is largely uncontested because no one can prepare for it. No big deal, whatever. The second one, everyone prepares for. But everyone prepares for it. They go fight on it. The third one, depending on which team won the second one, usually there's no fight for the third one either. And in the times when there's not a fight, we have to grind through however much EHP just in comms with spaceships watching Netflix or something, because that's the content, right? If no one shows up, that's the content. They tried to incentivize it with finance by giving us money. Shut the fuck up, Young Puke 2. You're annoying. They tried to incentivize it by giving us
telling
money.
me structure bashing is bad. So
I am telling you
what's
structure
gonna solve
bashing is
bashing?
bad.
Can I
Yeah.
What would solve
solution?
structure bashing is making it good.
What's to be clear, if you
You
could
tell
let
me.
anybody,
How would you do
dude,
it?
can you shut the fuck up for a second? Let somebody lay a coherent argument out. Like you're like determined to like win the argument by interrupting them every time they open their fucking mouth.
Billy, you're not saying anything of substance, dude. You're not saying how you're going to solve it.
So here's the other thing. Here's the other
nothing
thing.
of substance.
Here's
It's all
another thing
vacuous.
that
It's like
makes
it's bad, but
that makes
what's going to actually
Sov
take you to
kind of
create
bad.
content?
I was trying to
So
lead really down that
You're
road,
not
and you interrupted,
content?
so just like chill. Also,
He
just
can't
as like,
choose. He has
just
none
to
of it.
throw a subject matter out, would removing the ability to fit plates or nerfing plates on citadels help that goal?
That
There's a
shouldn't be on
subject point.
Citadels at all. XL newts shouldn't be on Citadels. AoE fucking E-War shouldn't be on Citadels. Shadows shouldn't be on Citadels. Fucking 100% ECM shouldn't be on Citadels. Cyclopses shouldn't be on Citadels. Infinite Points shouldn't be on Citadels. Teller shouldn't be in Citadels. A lot of stuff shouldn't be in Citadels.
I
There we
also
go.
want
We
to
have a
point
path
out, hold on,
forward.
Drake, one sec. I also want to point out that
Get it done.
historically, and me seeing it firsthand myself in 2020, is that year after year, what we have seen is 2 things at the same time. Number one is that from people who play in Sovnal is that the grind is untenable in Sovnal. And also, at the same time, I have seen the same groups violently defend the grind in Null. They have refused every single nerf to the defensive and grind ability of the defenders in Sovnal, and at the same time complained about it, and it's getting really old.
Well, in Legion, there's actually an interesting update that is coming that is making it so that skyhooks are capturable. It would be crazy if
Yes.
there was a similar mechanic that would make citadels also capturable
I mentioned it
for
before
a
as a joke,
price.
but it was semi-serious.
Right, yeah,
It
no,
would
you
have to be
mentioned it
very
as a joke.
expensive, I think.
Of course, it
think
would
it would
have
have
to
to be
be
expensive.
rather expensive. But here's the thing is that could all be based on the Sovereignty Hub. You see, we've got this shiny new system that they've released and iterated on, a bunch of times. But they haven't really changed the core of how you actually take Sov in the game. But see, if they make it really important, right? If they make Sov really important, then they can also make how you fight over Sov really important as well. Because right
Why
now,
would I care if
how
I
you
care
fight?
about fighting for this?
I'm sorry?
Sorry.
No,
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 no, no,
no,
go ahead.
you
Finish
go
your thought, finish
ahead.
your thought.
You go right on. What was your question?
So why would the defenders fight if I can just immediately asset safety my shit to the next space? Or
Well, the
move it to
defenders
another citadel?
Space?
They want to hold their space. Yeah, that's the point. They like
Okay.
their name on the
Suggestion
map.
this
They like to
conversation
have a
might
space
have
to
to help,
grab.
right? Could we have the nullsec argument made by someone who actually plays the game? So, like, Billy, could you make the argument instead of Redline? Because, like Redline has as much impact, has played as much EVE Online as a brick that's fell and hit
Okay,
someone's
what
keyboard
argument am
by
I
accident.
making?
You know what, not a red. Here's the thing. Perhaps someone who doesn't play the game as actively you do is in the best position to make an argument for
you're
the
not.
game.
You're not.
Because you
Honestly,
see,
you're honestly
the
not.
arguments
You're
that
just
I
not.
make, why don't you shut the fuck up, dude? Because you come on here, you make the same piss poor argument, but every time I talk about this game, I'm talking about something that I think would make me come back to it, would make players like me come back to it, okay? So for you to sit there, for
Yeah, the
someone
players
who
like
has
you
done
are the reason why
jack
the
shit
game's dog
for
shit.
anyone other than themselves for their entire EVE Online career, for you to sit there and talk to me like that because I don't have
You said
100
jack
active
shit.
kills?
I killed 3
Shut the
faction
fuck up,
titans
not a
early on.
red. All you do is scam people, backstab people, get on fucking coveter kill mills with your big old battleships because you're huge and tough. First and foremost, shut up. Everyone can shut up. Honestly, it's stop it.
I actually can't tell if it's a character anymore. He's just generally just going off the fucking deep end.
Like, this is the issue, guys, right? Like, it's like how, like, fundamentally, how do we get people to start engaging in Sov warfare at either a small, medium, or larger scale? So people like Redliner or whatever are willing to form
whatever.
alliances.
Put some
or whatever,
respect
dude.
on
Like,
my name, motherfucker. You're on
I'll
my
sit on your
show.
Okay, whatever. And so,
You're
like,
just
how do we
larping as
get
King of
people?
Maria now.
Yeah, basically. So, like, seriously though, like, how do we get people to that level? So people
No,
create new
seriously though,
alliances, they
y'all are
create
guests.
new story. Okay, thank you, dude. Just take a
You
chill
do
pill.
that by giving them
Like,
incentives.
okay, and so what would those incentives be, Billy?
Those incentives need to be financial, primarily passive, and ideally some level of strategic and reputational.
Okay. And
so
sounds reasonable, yeah.
So things like passive moons are where the majority of the old school alliances that you've played EVE with started forming with to some degree, right? Like almost all these alliances that we have now formed in the era of like passive moons to some degree, or the core players that you see started in that era. Because that is when you could play, and like I remember owning tech moons in like 2009, and it made my life so much easier when I could just FC and collect my fucking paycheck, and that's something that EVE needs. Is it needs those huge passive income sources that are not like, how do I put this? Skyhooks and Metanoxus and all this, they're busy work, and I hate to say it like that, but like the amount of money they generate is not equivalent to the amount they probably should, which sucks because nobody wants to give No more money because No already feels like a juggernaut of a lot of the financial stuff.
Just to interject there, Billy, is that a symptom of the fact that they are essentially unraidable now? The fact that all the prices dropped and therefore it's not worth it outside of you need to do it for Sov?
That's a good question. I don't know the exact answer to that, I'll be honest. I feel like there's so many problems around them. Like I don't know where foundationally to start. And Like I desperately try to avoid that system with every fiber of my being currently.
So
For the reputational side of things, like what would you, or the second side you were mentioning, what would you want to see if you had a magic wand?
What would I want to see?
Projection fix. If you fix that, then you get good fights like you do around skyhooks and whatnot.
I mean,
because you get
projection
a
fix.
proportional response.
Well, the thing about a projection fix that helps it more than anything is the localization of strength, where large armies can't come from fucking 8,000 light years away into your space, where they have to work to come there, and then you can work to burn them on their way out, right? That's the localization importance that is most important when it comes to projection. But in terms of reputational, I don't know the answer. Yeah, like it is, but it's an important one because you have to remember, like, and I say this as somebody who's doing it, like, there's more to being the leader than just you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the guys, right? But at the same time, this person, whoever these people are, they have to invest so much, and you've got to find a way to make it worth it for them, because otherwise they won't do it. And like, I can tell you now, I wouldn't fucking do it again.
I mean, I remember when Seto and I were chatting, and we had a long discussion about how he basically had to give up like a semester worth of school of like to do like some war, right? I mean, like, and so like
that
a
was
big
probably
thing
the
on
frat
the
war,
CSM,
where
the
he
frat war,
like
yeah,
really he
And
really
so-
like stepped up during that war, and that's what made him such a like part of a great FC. Is he had so many opportunities to FC, and he like took himself from like, you know, like a B level FC to like an S tier FC, right? He found those opportunities, and he like just went from like, you know, a little bit above average to like a fucking insano guy, because he had all of the reps imaginable, and he was put in really challenging wartime situations.
And not just that, but like in the modern era, what I'll call it, of Eve, right? Do you think that like the amount of dedication and time that it takes, that which is Redline is correct in this point, is like the thousands of hours, is that even feasible? Like, is it, or does it require such a revamp of nullsec, of the way siege mechanics work, how you take stuff, the amount of work
does.
involved? Like that's the
The
question.
siege mechanics themselves are not the issue. It's the grinding through the citadels is the core issue, is what I see.
Yeah, so that's one of them, but also the mechanics for actually taking this off are pretty shit too. So the Entosis mechanics, like the way that the system is designed is great. It's designed to have small skirmishes across the constellation that is actively being Entosised. The problem is how that manifests in today's EVE Online is a giant bottleneck of a fight. It happens in one system, and whichever team loses is the team that fucks off and doesn't win the Entosis war. And that's not how it's supposed to be. I think
No,
if
I
it
feel like
was
that's a
more...
bad take, especially from like a lot of the bigger battles we saw in World War B, where we had fights going in 7 systems at the same time, trying to like win Entosis nodes, and you know, probably the most interesting or like really fun battle I ever had was kind of overwatching like 9 different fleets for the M2 IHUB node after we had already lost the big battle at M2.
I'm with
where
you.
we're like desperate.
I'm with you,
Yeah.
Billy, but that's an unrealistic expectation. Like, you're not going to get that every day. You're not going to get a war that
No, but like
encompasses the
when,
entire
for example,
game.
when I was playing with
But
BFL, I think a year
you
ago,
have to
and we
get
were
something that's going to be the
holding
everyday
space,
thing.
or taking space in like the Declan area. There was a ton of fights in that area where it was spread over multiple systems, multiple constellations, where the small gang teams had a huge oversized role to play, and I was happy that they did, because it made the fight that much more interesting. I don't think Entosis is any worse than any of the other Salvus systems we've had. It's a little more complex, a little harder, but the reality is, like, compared to Dominion Sov or Pos Sov or
but
whatever,
I think that
like,
there
it's
are.
not
I
that much
think
more
that
crazy.
there's a Sov system that's better, and I think that if the nullsec Sov system took some cues from the lowsec faction war system, where instead of being like a few hours engagement, it's an engagement over multiple days. Like, instead of just being one time where there's like 7 fleets out, it's like over the course of 3 days, you've got to go and capture complexes or something so you can hold your Sov. You've got to prove that you are the most active holder of that space and that you're going to be able to be the one that uses it properly. And I think
To be
bringing that
clear,
to nullsec
I
would
wouldn't
be
be
great.
opposed to that. It's just I've not seen a like. Here's the thing. I think if we actually like crowdsourced the players of EVE Online to give us a system, it would be worse than what we probably have right now. If we took
You're
a
probably
really
right.
like small group of like smart EVE players, we could probably build a better system. But the question is, would CCP listen to us? Almost certainly not, right? And so I feel like that is one of those things where you're just spinning your wheels to
Billy, but
oblivion.
like if we start there and we already assume that CCP will not listen to us, they will not make changes, then we're sort of stuck, right? And so like how do we then push the needle forward then? Like,
So
is there a way to have like? Oh,
so
sorry.
what we do, so no, just let me. So what we do is we revert this conversation back 35 minutes, and I was like, we just need one
Oh,
small change a month to get us in the process of CCP accepting that changes are good. Like that would be my process of like, let's start with just getting like one ship change a month. And then once we get that, maybe we can sell CP on some fucking actual structure changes and some other stuff. Start putting the
also, though, Billy,
balance of EVE into some players who actually understand how the game.
I understand, but like as the CSM, right, as
too,
Drake alluded to early. Oh, sorry, Redline, you can finish. My apologies.
I just wanted to say that I think 2025 CCP they do actually listen though. Like they mentioned that multiple times at FanFest. They're reading the feedback, they're listening, they're iterating on things. So yeah, I do think that 2025 CCP. I think now is the time if we wanted to get something done. I'm pretty sure.
That's where
we're no better.
And that's why I totally agree with you. Redline is that like I think people like CCP Okami with his the interactions he's done in the Discord, really interacting with the community, and us as the CSM and Drake. If I'm putting words in your mouth, just let me know. But like,
no, I agree.
They're open to
They
our
are
feedback.
hungry for feedback at the moment.
Yeah,
like,
they're
really
like
fucking
very.
hungry.
And so like that's why I think Billy, like, I don't think we can state at the premise that it's a no. I think we have to try, and I think as a community, if we come up to them and be like, sure, there's Entosis methodology for sieging null or whatever, or taking systems, but why not add multiple other ways to attack null or solve? Why not also have a fundamental plex mechanic as well, or something, right? Like I'm just saying various things, but like I just think like if we shut ourselves down before we even try to have the conversation, there's not going to be any change.
I have no opposition to that. I just think that whatever changes are to be suggested need to be thought of, built into a structural kind of sale, I guess.
A proper, well reasoned focus group with a white paper absolutely gets results at the moment. So
yeah, like the
it's
problem
not
is
going to be like one person running his mouth. The CCP won't listen to them.
Because the problem is there's 4 of us in this call and we all have different visions of how you would probably affect Solve to some degree. But I bet you if we actually spent the time, sat down and thought about it hard, we could come together and reach an agreement of how we could build a better Solve system.
And
but nobody's doing that step.
That's exactly what we're doing in this CSM term. Like whenever like we may disagree internally within this CSM term, and I think this is I don't know if it's a big difference from your term, and you've been
our term was
involved,
terrible.
like,
we had several people who were like hard blocking basically any changes to the game, including things like fixing lag.
And so like our CSM, like I think for anyone else who wants to run, like the way that I think we've managed it, Drake, to reasonable degrees, like we may disagree internally, and if we disagree, that's fine. We leave it in that room. But when we show to CCP, we show a united face. All of us agree. It is the consensus. Even if I disagree, Drake disagrees. It doesn't matter. There has to be a consensus, and that has improved our effectiveness. That's how we were able to get Surgical Strike. That's how we're able to get all these Logic Cruiser changes. Is that the power of not one but many, and that is how we do it forward. It's going to be better. I think we can do it.
Strategy we had. Sorry, I like keep interrupting because I'm lagging. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. But our like strategy that really fucking paid dividends on the CSM summit is either at night in the hotel bar or it's in the morning when we were having breakfast. We like came together and just like, right, what's the most important subject matter of the day? Let's just fucking have a massive argument here and now and hash it out. And that worked really fucking well. Holy shit. We were so productive.
And like
Does
our
that
discussions
genuinely translate to action on CCP's part, though?
I mean,
this entire expansion is the translation, I would say. Besides like 1 or 2 things we generally didn't know about, which is just the classic, like we're gonna get blindsided.
So what I'll say then is good job on that. But once again, it's not enough. And I hate to be the guy to say it like that.
It's a very good step. It's a very good break from the how CCP has acted in the past. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yes.
So here's the thing. When I joined the CSM in 2019, I had a list of 125 balance changes I want, and I managed to get 40 of them done through like my first 2 years. And I'll be blunt, like I still felt like I had lost that battle. And what I see now is what would be equivalent of about 4 or 5 changes, and we're happy with that. And like that need to get more done, it needs to be a fire. And like if we're happy with surgical strike reversion, some minor repair changes, some minor damage, whatever the fax word is, changes, like that can't be enough. It just can't be, because otherwise we're doomed, because the game needs more energy, more life, more change to build in for these new people to play and enjoy.
And
I agree. Wait. So while I agree, Villy, in principle, one of the things that also really worked is like the idea of perfect is the enemy of good. Like getting good changes through, even if it's just a trickle, is monumentally better than getting fucking nothing done by.
Well, 100%. You agree with me?
Like, I don't want to be unfair to you. Like, obviously, I don't know how your CSM was. You said it was. Is this? I don't think it's unfair to say it was. You were quite negative on it. Like people were blocking shit.
It had some significant political problems going on.
Sure. Okay. So, and I personally, I don't know if Young Puke will or the rest of the CSM echoes this. I was coming to expecting CCP to have a very defensive posture based on previous CSMs, and I think they did, and they've massively opened up. We had the Revenant Major patch, which was like very well received, and on the face of it, this expansion, Legion, has been, aside from like minor issues like the balance issues with the Bagbaroga, which I'm definitely open to seeing feedback on, and so is Okami and Ritati and Berger.
And I think
It's they're opening up is like my point. And if we continue this, it in my theory will pay dividends down the line. If the next CSM, I'm not saying they will, and I'm just saying if it then reverts back to political posturing and nothing else, and everything's getting blocked, then I feel the CCP is going to revert and go back to their arm folding and being more defensive.
Yeah, and like the way building off what Drake was saying, like this is the foundation year, right? Like this is like we're building this trust, and they're willing to trust us with the feedback and being cordial and basically being honest, like what we think is best, and they're taking it and implementing it. And if we continue this trend, maybe it won't take it. We brought up surgical strike in February. Flash forward 3 months, we got it, right? Like, and if this is continuation and building it up further and further, we can get those changes to make null or attacking null better. That Wedline and yourself, Billy, were saying. Like, I think there's a lot of hope. I think there's a lot of momentum, and I completely agree with Drake was saying. Like, we didn't come at it as
from my point of view. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. It's like we were antagonistic to each other. Like we came together as a team, and it's a team effort. And sure, like there's some things that we disagree on, but like at the end of the day, like we're getting the good shit. We're getting the important changes finally in. I feel like, or some important changes.
A very good example.
I just want to be. I just want to be clear on something, because this is like an interesting thing that's kind of developed over the years for me as I've moved into out of null into a much more like casual player mode. I don't give a shit about null. I care about normal spaceships for normal players, especially new players, being fun and interesting. The people in high sec, the people in low sec, the people in like fucking null sec that don't give a shit about attacking soft, just want to have fun with spaceships. They need new and exciting things. Like, and I hate to say it like this, but like we got to do better than what we're doing for those players, because those are actually like 90% of the fucking player base. 90% of the player base doesn't give a shit about who owns Sov in X, Y, Z system. Like we care about like, what does my fucking Omen Navy issue do when it comes up against X? What does my Megatron do when it's fighting against a Typhoon? How does my Typhoon do with torpedoes versus crews? Like all of these things are the things that players actually care about that are interesting for them, right?
And you need a healthy environment to be enjoying these ships and decisions and smaller scale things in as well. And the environment is currently a giant stagnant pond because of the lack of notable nullsec changes, because of the endless blocking.
And
It's
not
not
just
just
not just that Phantom Knight, but like you've seen it what the ecosystem could be, and like Metropolis right now is a perfect example. Metropolis has
Mhm.
Hamatar. You have we have what, 8 alliances now that live within 1 to 2 regions next to each other, duking it out on the daily. Right, and it's different scales. It could be, Phantom Knight. Sometimes he brings a heartbeat gang, and I ran away super quick, right? Or like, Amar earlier today brought in a couple dreads, and like it's so dynamic, and like it shows that the possibility is there. But see, it's on the role of the players, and it's on the role of
CCP to create systems that allows those ecosystems to flourish.
I suppose that a sort of a counter to that, and I'm going to be wrapping things up and getting people's final comments shortly, but it's all well and good. You're not wrong when you say it's up to the players to create the content. However, whenever a player tries to use their initiative to create some content and the other side has unbalanced tools that allows them to put a full stop to the risk of that content, that is very much the fault of the game's design.
Correct.
It's regardless of the fact that somebody is using their initiative to try and generate the content. It's both. It's both.
It's both. It's both. And that's where CCP has to take that initiative and step in, listen to the players and feedback, and implement it, right? Like, that's it. Like, then we get into a healthier ecosystem in game.
It has been a longer one of our shows, and with good reason. There's been a lot of us here, and we've had a lot of content to cover. We've been through the positives and negatives of things here. If I just go to each of you, if I point you out, it's if you'd like to give us sort of like a final, any final thoughts. I mean, Vili, is there any kind of wrap up you'd like to say?
I would just ask for CCP to do more. Give us the easy stuff that we want, and don't focus so much on the big stuff. And I'll have my Discord open for job offers as required. Yeah.
And Rain, how about you? What anything on your mind about finishing the show today?
Yeah, I think the ideas of small but more frequent balance changes is definitely a good idea. Alligator, for example, has the same power grid as the T1 Drake. That's just embarrassing to look at. And if you fix projection, then Sov becomes a bit more fun to engage in because you get more localized and more counterable enemies coming up to you, just as you see with like moon drills, for example. So fixing projection fixes the rest of the game.
Bazza, anything final you want to leave us with?
Young Puke said something earlier about this was when it was all kicking off. Young Puke said about how it's super easy for his guys to go and find content, just undock some Horde dreads. Puke, like you said then later on, everyone lives in Metropolis, so they're very close to each other. The problem is that people live far away for nullsec residents.
Yep.
You don't want nullsec players to invade lowsec. You may think you do, but we really don't want that. Please don't put that on us.
No, we don't.
Oh, we're coming.
And what we'll do is we'll give our 2 CSM members the last one. So if Nada, any final thoughts?
One, I think Surgical Strike being fully reverted is good, but I think we need probably something along the lines of a Truth and Reconciliation Committee set up to bring the people who inflicted that monstrosity on us to justice. 2, I think you shouldn't take your evil opinions off people that have 15 kills this calendar year. They probably don't really play the game or have anything of input to actually add. If you think, I have 15 kills, you know who you are. 3rd, I think a lot of the stuff with nullsec is just fucking misleading, right? I think nullsec just had this massive content creation drain the last few years, especially goons, right? No one there really wants to do shit, right? They want to sit and yap about dreads being overpowered, but by and large, nullsec's a lot of nullsec's problems is their own fucking just sat there wallowing in their own self-pity and just a bunch of diabetics watching their number go up, right? You need a horse to water, right? But there's a reason low-sec players choose to live in low-sec and choose to fight in low-sec and waste their ISK, right?
Brain damage.
That's pretty much it.
Drake, our hotel-bound CSM member.
Oh, he's there. Didn't she?
Yes, I'm finally home now, so that's why I don't have the dog shit mic. I apologize about that. I would say just to everyone, this is the absolute fucking perfect time to get feedback in. It doesn't need to be to me, but any CSM. Okami, Ritati, and Burger are massively empowered by the positive feedback of the last big patch and the overall reception of this, the FanFest announcements. So this is the perfect time to get feedback in because you just got to keep the momentum going. And I absolutely agree that shadows are bullshit and plates are bullshit on citadels.
And Puke, what would you leave us with today?
I want to leave a message of hope and faith. I think we're heading in the right direction. I mean, I just saw on Reddit literally right now, posted in chat. I mean, CCP is working on Logi and kill mails and putting data points of remote assistance, EWAR, command burst, fleet IDs, even skin IDs on them. Like, if the things that we ask for, we push for it, eventually I think we can get them. And I echo exactly what Drake was saying. There's a lot of room for growth, and we're heading in the right direction.
I'm also being
Thank
told
you.
off by my girlfriend I didn't wish everyone to have a nice breakfast tomorrow.
And Redline, thank you for, as ever, making the show happen. You have the tiller.
No tiller needed today. I'm just gonna send a raid straight away because I gotta go have dinner. But today's raid is going to somebody who's only been playing EVE Online for 4 days, which is, according to some people, more days than I've played it. So we're gonna go ahead and send it to Mad Maxi 14.
Well, you say according to, but is it or is it not? Like, do you want to defend that?
You know what? Do I want to defend it? Absolutely. But do I have time today? And is it worth the effort? No, it is not. That's another day's
You could
battle.
literally just say you've played Eve more than 4 days.
I've played Eve more than
He's
4
not going to.
days. Now we're
Okay.
rating. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
It's played it 8 days.
See you guys.
Yeah.
What did you say, Nada?